Here with Sarah Lee, race one's winner on board Savoy. How was it, Sarah?
It was a really, really fun day. It was awesome. We sailed really well as a team.
You definitely did sail very well as a team. Having Kurt and Keegan on board, what a treat that must be for you.
Yeah, no, they're awesome to sail with. But yeah, we all get along really well and we work together well, so it's good.
Hello and welcome to races 2 and 3 of the Australian 16-foot skiff and 13-foot skiff national titles, hosted by the St George Sailing Club. We're coming to you live from Botany Bay with a bit of rain inbound and a bit of a spike in the breeze. And joining me in commentary today is Andrew Dolly Davola and Graham Beale. How are you guys?
G'day Jimmy, g'day viewers, good to be here.
Very technical sort of day out here with the shifting breeze and so forth. I think is probably the best way to describe it. What's the forecast of?
Well, forecast-wise, we're not really on forecast at the moment. We were expecting this rain cloud to come in. The breeze was a bit more in the north. We've just had some rain come through, and it's seen the breeze clock around a little bit to the northwest. We've got a course laid in at the moment, but I'm expecting that if it stays the way it is, we're going to have to do a little bit of a course shift and bring the top marks around a bit. We should still have enough runway up to Brighton Les Sands, but we're in the hands of the weather gods, and our great PRO, Peter Timworth, will set a fair course either way. But yeah, at the moment we've probably got about... it's a bit very gusty, and it's phasing through sort of 5 to probably 12 knots at the moment. Rain coming and going, and with every rain squall that comes through, we're seeing a bit of a change in the breeze. Graham, what's your read on what we're seeing?
Well, I'm looking at all the boats on the water and thinking there's a little bit more breeze than everyone expected. In the sort of 20 minutes we've been out here, there have been quite a few capsizes already from boats just trying to get themselves settled in for the race. So I think it'll be interesting to see the sort of jib choices that boats had. For viewers at home, you've got the choice between 2 jibs on your big rigs. So it'll be, yeah, very interesting to see when we get our races off if that plays a big part in today's results.
Yeah, my morning park walk, there was a lot of indecision. People had their mains in and jibs off, and then when the jibs were going in, there was quite a mix. So a mix of big boards, big jibs and number 2 jibs, and a bit of decision about centre boards. But these days, the majority of people go with that smaller centre board.
Yeah, you've almost got to be having a crew member in, like one of the guys off wire for the whole time, to have the big board in these days.
To justify it, yeah, that's right, Jimmy. We were just
it's not what you told me when you made me buy 2 boards from you.
Well, when I was selling them, of course, I thought you needed 3.
I did, actually.
Yeah, we're just seeing the Bartley 13 on the screen there yesterday. Had a chat to them on shore, and they thought they had a few too many swims yesterday. I said to them, well, today's going to be a whole lot easier. Our apologies yesterday to the viewers who are also following the 13-foot skiffs. We had a very difficult day yesterday. Difficult conditions. We're in the confines of the river. At commentating, we have to spend most of our time looking at our screens rather than around us, and it was very difficult to keep a track of who was who and where on the track. But congratulations to Theo Franklin and Kobe Napa on the Cybertech. We did lose track of them for a little while there, but we got there in the end, and they had a great win. And I said to them this morning, to start an event like this with a win on the board is a great way to start the regatta. So congratulations to them for yesterday.
How good was that track though yesterday? Racing in the river, kind of had our own natural boundaries that everyone had to play with. Made for some fantastic spectating. I think we had a spread of maybe 2 minutes at the first mark for 50 some odd boats, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, and at the end of the day with the 16s, I think there was under 3 minutes covering the top 12 boats. And for those who were watching, the difference on the racetrack when we were coming up to the top mark for the last time between sort of second or third through to 12th and 13th, any boat in that bunch could have finished anywhere. Real credit to Daniel Turner and his team on the moon and to come through and secure a second position, and maybe a little unlucky for Banjo Nicholson on the SKE Electrical, who led for half the day. But a third is a solid result in this fleet and in a national championship. And of course, all credit to Sarah Lee and Keegan and Kurt on the Southerly. What an amazing performance they put on yesterday.
Talking about that, Dole, why don't we have a quick look at the results?
Yeah,
and after one race, what do you want to look at first, 13s or 16s? This is the magic of TV.
Well, seeing we gave the 13s a bit of a rough end of the stick yesterday, we'll have a look at them first. As mentioned, we had Cybertech taking the win. One of the favourites for the series and the defending champions, Evic Sail Racing with Gemma and James Hopkins in second place. Black Cat Angus Stewart in third. The Fluid team, Donnie Rowlandson in fourth. The Kitchen Maker, Taylor Lees, followed by the Sail Media boat. A good result for the Sail Media team in sixth with Ben Milnam, and we should mention Ben Milnam is the youngest skipper in the 13 fleet. Do you know how old Ben is? I think he's about 14, is he?
I think so. I don't think he's much older than that.
Yeah, so fantastic result. First year in the 13-foot skiffs. And then moving down, we had David Tulk, Zach Wyatt in Cheeky, AWOL, Andrew de Montfort, and Bartley, Taylor Springer, and Bigfoot Bags and Covers. Unfortunately, the others suffered some gear damage. And the team on Harkin, who are also one of our favourites for this series, Orlando Sadlick, unfortunately had some pretty bad sickness cut in and was unable to continue. They had to retire, and I spoke to him this morning. He's feeling a lot better. Yeah.
Must have been around the corner having some of the sandwiches and stuff that we could smell.
Yeah, perhaps, James.
Now, what about the 16s, Dole? How do they all shape up after one race?
As discussed, we were talking amongst you, me and Clint on screen early, and pretty much the top 10 were the boats that we were talking about early in the day. So Southerly came out on top. Impressive performance from Moonan, SKE, Sail Racing, who are one of my picks to do exceptionally well this week, looking at the forecast. Matt Meaney in the Swell Racing, great effort from those guys. Imagine Signage, Nathan Wilmot, the defending champion, in sixth. Imey Hugh Stoddart, seventh. Noakes Lee Napton in eighth. Now they had a swim, and we can expect to see more from those guys for sure. Red Pumps in eighth, Tyler Dransfield. Sue Tech, Mikey Corner. Domino's Michael Quirk in 11th, but that sort of rounds out the top group. I'll add that Ace, Matt Meaney, he was right up there all day, and unfortunately you probably saw they broke a pole wire, and very unfortunate for them. A few other tales of woe, obviously. boats that were doing well. Cunningham's were up there for the majority, and unfortunately they had a great start and a great first beat, but they found a hole to dive into and had a classic nosedive, which fortunately we managed to capture on in a fantastic still photo. So yeah, Jimmy, I think the boats who we thought were going to do well did do well. Great start to the regatta. Probably, looking to me at the forecast, probably the toughest day that we're going to see this week. So they've got that out of the way, and yeah, today a different day, 2 races. At the moment we're looking at a 3-lap windward leeward for the 16s, probably a 2-lap for the 13s. So stand by. I think we're going to see another great day's racing. What was your takeaway from yesterday, Graham?
Yeah, Dolly, you mentioned there that yesterday was one of our toughest in terms of the forecast. It doesn't mean that it's not going to be tough, mentally elsewhere. A day like today and the conditions we're seeing is certainly going to be a test in terms of your patience and also your conviction in the area that you're sailing in. This bit of rain and unexpected forecast is certainly going to be a challenge for everyone. Looking at the results yesterday, I think Noakes is should have been up there second or third. They certainly had some wheels on them late in the race. It seems other boats got a little bit tired, and you started to see some big movements happen there. And unfortunately, they tipped over and went for a swim. But prior to that, I think they were hunting down Moon in there for a little while.
Yeah, they were, and very, very uncharacteristics to see the Noakes guys have a swim. I think in a number of nationals, you could count the swims they've had on one hand, wouldn't you?
I can tell you around the clubhouse, there's a lot of St. George members who are really excited to see a couple of St. George boats really in the hunt for some good results here. So a bit of a shame again with Noakes going for a swim, but for Southerly to take out the win with a sort of newly established crew, that's huge for them. I know Kurt and everyone on board has been working real hard on all aspects of their boat. They suffered a slight gear failure on the invitation race, but how lucky to have done that on the invitation race rather than race 1 yesterday.
Yeah, and as mentioned, Ace, another St. George boat, they were sailing exceptionally well and were just a bit unlucky. So yeah, good signs for the St. George Club in the rebuilding phase for the sailing, and the sailors are getting great support from the club. And yeah, I've been across some social media from some very enthusiastic St. George members and parents and stuff. There's certainly plenty of excitement back at the club, who are hoping to see, with the Nationals being held at St. George, hoping to see maybe the silverware might be turning up in the trophy cabinet.
Under postponement we are at the moment. I think there's a bit more rain coming. I'm just wondering whether that's had a bit of influence on the PRO's decisions.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a tough decision for the race management team today. I would expect this breeze direction's going to flick around a little bit with the rain that's sort of moving through the area. It looks like on the backside of this front it will clear a little bit and hopefully the breeze will stabilize, but it looks like, yeah, on the right there's maybe a little bit of different breeze, but we're still seeing some interesting stuff off the shore here, so we might just have to go into postponement for a little while here and see if we get something stable.
Yeah, it's certainly going to keep shifting around all day, so they're obviously not anything that we can control, and each time these rain squalls come through we're going to see different conditions. With the breeze flicking around to the left, it's left us with less scope at the moment. I'm just wondering whether Pete might end up upping anchor and moving a bit further out in the bay to give us a bit more runway. We were looking about a 1.4 mile first beat when the course was around in the north a bit more, but now we've got the Brighton Lassans shore is as far up as we can go upwind at the moment with the breeze direction, and that's probably only about a nautical mile, I think. So we'll see what happens. He might decide to drop a mark in up there and change from 3 laps to 4 laps, but keep in mind we are running a 2-race day today, back to back, so we don't want to keep the sailors out here all day. It's going to be a very long week.
Don't want to keep us out here all day either.
Indeed, Jimmy, we might run out of batteries.
we
won't be able to hear us
it's a
anymore.
very real possibility,
Possibility.
mate. Graham, what's the time limit from the first to the second race? Is there a time limit?
There's no time limit, technically speaking. It's more about, time of the day. We obviously want to take advantage of the conditions that we have. We do have a reserve day up our sleeve if we get to that. Hopefully we don't have to do that. We give everyone a rest on
Wednesday?
Wednesday, I believe, yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can get our races in and give everyone that good rest day.
Yeah, looking at the models too, Wednesday looks like the right day to have a lay day because it's probably the most iffy day for breeze. So that's kind of fallen in our lap a little bit there. So hopefully we don't have to utilise that lay day. We can keep everything happening, keep the ball rolling with the races and get them all done, and everyone can have a day off and a bit of a breather on Wednesday and do whatever they do to relax, or maybe some people have to duck back for a day at work.
Speaking of breeze, I've just had a look on our trusty local forecasting. Looks like the airport is flicked a little to the northwest, which is probably why we've gone under AP here for a little while. But more interestingly, Cornell, which is sort of to our southeast, had a big spike in pressure there, well above 20 up to 25. Which is just to our southeast a couple miles. So there's still some pretty big variation, around the area, and we'll just have to give it a moment and see if anything settles in.
Yeah, surprisingly, Cornell at the moment is downwind from us too, right? So, and was it northwest there? Is that a northwest gust?
Yeah, northwest it looks like.
Yeah.
22 to 25, it's saying, about 7 minutes ago.
Well, 22 to 25 with the big rig in could provide us with some good footage today. We're looking at, we've got Pepsi Max on screen there, and the red pumps coming towards us. Everyone's sort of just feeling their way around there, but you can see red pumps there. They're in a little bit of pressure. They're 2 on wire and lots eased, and they're chugging along with a bit of pace. Couple of the 13s, the Fiji Water, I think they didn't manage to get around yesterday. So they'll be looking for a better day today. Eric's on screen there now. Whenever I see the forecast looking a little bit sketchy,
they sort of climb up the
I
peak.
always put the Eric's in the picks, because it seems every Nationals, especially when the breeze gets a bit funky, they put a race win together, don't they, Jimmy?
Them and Sail Racing are two that you quickly circle when it gets funky and fluky. They're probably the two boats that, as Graham was alluding to on the way out here, keeping an eye out of the boat and trying to link these puffs all together, and those two are probably two of the best in the business at doing it. Indeed,
and we have had a change of skipper this season on the Eric's, with Scott Cotton stepping aboard, and boy, he's a worthy replacement. A very, very smart, very talented skipper and helmsman, and they certainly we can expect some good things from them, I think.
I sailed against Scott in 470s for a little while. So,
oh, did you?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, pretty well in 470s. Part of the Australian sailing team back then.
Indeed.
So if you're there, getting that support from them and traveling to Europe, you're up there in the top part of the sailing community.
Yeah, and you learn a little bit from Victor Kovalenko along the way. Yeah.
Always helpful.
Yeah, always helpful. Yeah.
We did have just a moment ago. We had southerly flash across the screen in the background. I don't know if anyone caught on, but they had some pretty colorful jerseys on. So maybe take a moment and remind everyone watching that we've got some colored jerseys for lead boats. So yellow signifies that you're the first place boat. In the case of southerly, Sarah Lee had a pink jersey on as well, which indicates she's the top female at this time. Blue colored jerseys are going to be your second place boat, with red in third. We do the same thing for the 13s as well, so that'll be good to see and certainly helpful for our viewers. The other one that we've added this year, we've got a set of teal jerseys, which are indicating our handicap leader. think that's something we haven't really done before. And our handicap leader at the moment is CJK. And so it'll be interesting to see how that progresses through the week, and it'll be fun to have those colours on board.
Yeah, and
you're just about to see them right there. There's CJK and the SKE Electrical with the coloured jerseys on.
In third place, yeah. And handicap, probably not nothing to be sneezed at. What sort of money are we looking at for the overall handicap winner this year, Graham?
You know, I can't remember the figures off the top of my head, but I do know that the scratch winner is looking at about $2,000
right
for a scratch. But, you know, every day we're handing out, you know, a couple $100 to everyone who's performing well. I think we go top 10 in the 16s, top 6 in the 13s. And so it's pretty fun to hand out some cash to the kids and also the adults as well.
Every day.
We're going to lift our game, Dole. You said hands out the cash to those that perform well. We obviously haven't performed well so far.
No, we just need to look at the results and know who to hang around with at the club.
Exactly.
That's right.
The AP coming down there just in the background. So I think Tinny's just happy to bang this one away. And
yeah, so hopefully 1 minute we'll be in sequence here. So it'll be really interesting to see where everyone wants to line up. I mean, it's hard to say at this point whether the left or right's favored. You know, when you get a little bit of rain on the water as well, it really gets hard to see the shifts coming through because the wind kind of looks the same with that sort of rain on the water. And so I think for the boats that are used to sailing with their compass or their, you know, whatever units they've got on their boat, if they trust those and know how to use them well, they might be able to squeak a few more good results out today.
And like going back to that, Graham, obviously for the young kids at home, you being a dual Olympian, it's not always about what you can see because, you know, with the compass, you've got to sometimes use that if it's a wide out.
Yeah, there's some interesting ones. I mean, we're not in the case today where it's quite whiteout conditions where you have to start looking at, you know, 50-50 time on tacks to make sure you're staying centerline on the course. But certainly today, at least knowing what your angles are, your averages, you know, what your pluses and minuses are on each tack is going to be a huge benefit to understanding where you should be. I know I used to do quite well in these conditions because you almost just sail glued to the compass. Just make sure you're lifted. That's usually going to get you headed in the right direction. If you get a major shift that starts to become long-term on the race course, at least you're on the right tack. If you start chasing sides, sometimes, yeah, you can get a big gain, but you can also get a big loss.
There you go. The kids at home, if you some very wise wisdom words from Graham about how to do it, and it's yeah, definitely something to watch back and listen to it again and then go out there and have a practice of it.
And often, I don't know if you'd agree, Graham, often in these sorts of conditions you have to sort of commit one side or the other. Yeah, when it's changing, ever changing up the middle seems to often not be the place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you've still got to pick your side. You've got to hedge that way, and that could be the most dangerous thing that you do. Actually, is if you do pick a side and then partway up the first upwind decide to flip and go to the other side because those boats are looking good, and that's why it can be so important to stick to the compass. Sometimes you end up, you know, if you've spent too much time looking outside the boat, you see the other side maybe on a good shift at the time, and you think, oh no, that side's favored, we got to get over there. By the time you get over there, the shift's gone the other way. You're in no man's land.
Yeah, yeah. And you've got to get through that transition zone to get there. So the key is usually to stay with your opposition, unless you've got real conviction that the other side's looking good. But yeah, this is going to be super interesting. What is going to transpire here? I can't actually see the top mark, but I can see some of our support boats up there, which gives us a fair indicator of where it is. Yeah. So
sort of aim for that crane way off in the distance, Dole.
Yeah.
And it does certainly look like the breeze has kind of come down a few knots from what we were seeing. So I think everyone's going to be in comfortable big rig. As long as those boats that chose big rig, they'll be happy with their selection. It could be a very interesting tactical race, and you know, getting back to the decision making, you know, we've got a lot of phenomenal sailors in this class, you know, both on the helm and on the wires as well. So if you're ever unsure about your decision making and what you're doing, it doesn't take much more than a quick look around, and you can get some confidence back maybe with some of the boats that you might be around.
Yeah, Yeah, so we're coming down to 2 minutes to go. Nearly there.
So we've got Southerly just to our port side here, who looks like they're kind of stacking up for a boat start. As are, I would say, a lot of the fleet. We've got most of the fleet, looks like they're stacking up for a boat start. We can see Moonin kind of hedging towards the middle, probably will end up closer to the pin. So it'll be really interesting to see, you know, the spread of our sort of choice boats and where they're choosing to start.
Yeah, imagine right down and sail racing right down at the pin end.
And I think Noakes was right down there as well. I know Noakes Blue's halfway, but
and you're right, Jimmy. Noakes is down that far end, and those boats I just mentioned are now just sneaking back on port tack. Can't quite see them on screen there, but they're sort of sneaking back just to drop under the opposition. They'll still be looking towards that pin end of the line by the looks.
Yeah, we can see SKE there, you know, kind of starting to move down towards the pin. They're quite high at this moment, so they're going to have a hard time trying to find a good haul. Might even get hooked to lured and pushed up to the line a little bit. It looks like Southerly's moved in more towards the middle of the line, so they might be looking for a pin third start, but I'd still say we've probably got about 60% of the fleet who's looking for a boat in start here.
Yeah, and with 40 seconds to go, at the moment we're looking okay, viewers, but we shall see if we can get a clean start away first go today. Boats are really starting to move into the zone now. We're almost down to 20 seconds. The boats down the pin end of the line are starting to edge up towards the line, and there's a real gaggle at this top end that you can see. Red Pumps, Red, Manflu, they're all starting to force each other up, which often that will push boats over the line.
So Shippo would be proud of you, Dolly, using the word gaggle.
Gaggle?
So far it looks like it might be a good start there.
I think you're right. We've got an individual.
Not surprised on the individual there. What was surprising to me was to see the big line sag in the middle. We've got really good line sights all around us here that we can get at, but we're just trying to get through to the Ritz signal boat here to see if we can figure out who might have been over. Looked like Imagine had a pretty good jump on the pin end. There were one or two boats at the boat end as well, so stand by for a moment. We'll just see if we can try and figure out who that was.
Yeah, and
Red Pumps Red was the one that was over.
Okay, so we've just had word that it was Bruce Savage in Red Pumps Red was the boat over, and I think Manflu were probably pretty close as well, but that was the group who I was saying they're pushing each other up, and sure enough one of them was over. And it looks like I was suspecting it might happen. The boats at the pin end, which is why we saw some of those top boats down the pin end. Originally, I was thinking they might have even been looking at a port hand start because it was very open down there, but what we have seen is they've tacked onto port tack straight away. You can see them at the top end of your screen there, and we're seeing Imagine and Noakes getting away to a very, very good jump out from the rest of the fleet.
Yeah, you know, it's great to see here, and oftentimes we all get stuck into this sort of sense of off the line. You know, tend to start on starboard and you tend to stay on starboard for a little while. And sometimes, you know, you've got to recognize that that's maybe not the best move, and you need to flip onto the lifted tack as soon as you can. Sometimes even if you're going to take a few sterns, and it looks like a lot of the fleets recognize it's probably best to be on board at this time. And it looks like Noakes and Imagine have actually tacked back onto starboard, and that can be a pretty powerful position here where you've sailed that big lift off the line, gone into that first shift, gone back again, and now you find yourself sort of in the middle of the fleet and quite far advanced.
Yeah, that's right.
So it looks like they've got a really good position here over the group that's decided to go left. You know, as long as the breeze doesn't continue to drop left, they've got a good position and should be able to stay with them.
Yeah, so the group that we're looking at is the left-hand group. So we've got a definite split in the fleet, and it's pretty much 50-50. This left-hand group seems to have the majority of the current top boats in it. And then we've had another group, which were mainly the group who were starting at the boat end of the line. they were at a distinct disadvantage, and they've kind of committed to go out to the right-hand side. So if they'd continued pushing left from the boat end, they would have been giving these lead boats at least 200 metres head start. So they're just trying to sail some shifts and make some ground back. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we just saw Southerly there got squeezed out of the lane, so they've had to tag back a little bit early. You know, it might not be such a bad thing for them because they've got a good lane back on port. Sometimes in conditions like this, when you get forced all the way out to the side here, where we are, you know, you get stuck with your options and you can't sail the course anymore.
Just for the viewers at home, obviously just on the boat camera at the moment, still just a little bit too much rain for drone operations, so bear with us. We're trying to cover as much as we can, but the weather's not playing fair at the moment.
And it looks like it's actually gone quite soft over here on the left-hand side. We can see, you know, some of the boats that are headed this way on starboard tack are looking a little down pressure, especially from what we had seen sort of pre-start. So there'll be some big gear changes happening here. You know, both crew work, your sail setup, everyone will be tinkering around inside just to try and get the maximum out of it.
Yeah, our furthest left boats, we've got a sail racing, and we've got Noakes Blue and NHS, who you can see there.
Awesome.
Moonan also there as well. So Moonan's just decided to tack out of there, but we're seeing some very, very big shifts in the breeze here. Inside building, they're in a pretty good position. That see them just tacking now.
And we can see on the screen quite far advanced there, and punched out is Imagine. So they took those sort of couple attacks early off the line, and as we said before, you know, are finding themselves in a really comfortable position, sort of punched out to leeward of all the boats on the left side, but also well covered on the boats from the right. Yeah, so they're looking quite good right now, coming up to the top mark. Quite
controlling position that they've got themselves in.
And it looks like Contender might be just underneath them there. So Contender will be happy to be in water near Imagine.
Yeah, being in the mix. Looks like we've just got a little bit more pressure filling in from the left-hand side. You can see Moon and crew just starting to stretch out on the wire a little bit more. Sail racing. The Noakes you can see there is Noakes Blue, so that's Ryan Ewings and his team. And NHS in behind young Joel Beechel. I'd expect him to do well today. He was probably disappointed with yesterday. Yeah, super talented. Luca Damick in the middle, experienced Botany Bay sailor and long-term St George sailor, giving him some local knowledge, and also Luca's a very smart sailor and one of the Australia's premier moth campaigners.
I think he might also be the tallest in the fleet. I don't know if anyone has the height he has.
He's a pretty big boy, Luca.
Some of the 13 kids that I've been going and having a chat with after the race, they're tall. But
yeah,
like Luca's definitely the tallest, but the 13 kids, they're definitely throwing that challenge down as well.
Now we can see here all the the crew work that's going on with all the boats. There's still quite some variation in the pressure that the boats are seeing out of the left here. You're sort of still going between a sort of comfortable full pressure, but every once in a while it goes down, and we can see the crew starting to break their legs every once in a while, and they're really trying to keep the boat moving through the water. Skippers are standing up and making adjustments as well, and readjusting their body weight. We've got a little bit more rain at the moment than what we were getting, and it's also flattened out the sea state quite a lot.
Yeah, left of screen there you can see Imagine. The breeze to me is just, these left-hand boats have just taken a bit of a header, and good pick from you earlier, Graham, was just mentioning that Imagine had sort of positioned themselves just to leeward of that lead group, and what that does do is when and if a header does come back, they can tack over and take advantage of that. But yeah, for my money, we're probably looking at Imagine signage in a fairly controlling position at the moment. And Insight Building doing really well, Rod Carter, so that's them just taking a tack away. They might have been getting a little bit of heat there from Eric Storage, who've also tacked away with them. So I think that's where that shift in the breeze was. Imagine had already tacked onto that. And as I say, that was the boats on port were starting to head, so they've tacked onto that shift.
Yeah, you know, what did I say before the start? You know, stay out of the compass, stay lifted. And we can see a couple of the boats that have done that, you know, right from go are right up here near the front. Even if you get forced out of your lane, you know, you got to take 2 and just stay on the lifted tack, and we can see that big difference here. And, you know, we'll see how it all plays out towards the start, but certainly it seems that staying lifted here is going to be the way.
Yeah, Contender, Sailcloth and Noakes also in excellent position on the course here.
Contender, though, just sort of run out of...
They just tacked
wind.
apart.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised they tacked there. I mean, it seems like they tacked off a really good right-hand shift, and it looks now they're down pressure and headed, and not really sure what their thought process was there, but we've just got to imagine tacking, staying within the confines of the fleet, making sure they're not extending themselves too far.
Look at the lift Noakes on there left of screen. They're just own
Yeah.
private one.
Lee Napton we're looking at there in Noakes. Nathan Wilmot on Imagine coming back to him, not wanting to let him get too much advantage, but he's in a very good position there now. You'll see a mark appear just next to Noakes there now, but that's actually the 13-foot skiff top mark. We've got another probably 250 metres or so up to the yellow marker, which will be the 16-foot skiff top mark. So at the moment it looks like we've got Noakes leading from Imagine, but Imagine has just picked up a lovely little vein of pressure, just being slightly to windward of Noakes. Other contenders in the mix are Eric Storage, Insight Building. Contender just dropped out a little bit, and Felix Gretsch in Sail Racing, well positioned, along with Skillcon.
And
the
Sutek.
Sutek boys are once again showing that they want to be in the mix for this championship.
Yeah, and we're certainly approaching the top mark here, you know, only 150 odd meters away from it now. And so it's all about consolidating your position, you know, make sure you've got a good approach to the top mark and that you're going to get to ley line cleanly. There's still a couple of shifts to play, but it's all about trying to finalize that position into the mark.
Up the top end of the course here, some of the bigger crews in the weight categories, they'll be finding it pretty tough going up here. Lots of what we call gear changing their setup of their rig, tweaking with their sail depths and trim. You can't rest. You need to keep onto it, and every time there's a little change in the breeze, you've got to keep changing it up, keep that boat going as quickly as possible. Most of that control work is handled by the skipper, so bar the sheeting of the main and jib and spinnaker, which is obviously handled by the crew.
Some of the skippers will have you believe that they do all that too, Dol.
Oh, yeah, I would, Jimmy, as you know. But, yeah, the skippers will play the controls sometimes more than the crew are playing the sheets, because the more you can control or limit the amount that you're moving the sheets, the better. You're not disturbing the flow on the sails as much.
So as we get up to the top mark here, we're getting close to being able to pick our first boat, and it looks like we've got Skellcon actually coming out of this sort of late right on a nice right shift. They're maybe a touch below ley line. They're probably trying to pinch their way up to make it happen, but interesting approach here up to the top mark.
Yeah, they're doing their best to get there, and at the moment they're looking good, but we've got quite a collection of spectator boats at the top mark as well, which are blocking the breeze slightly. But,
and blocking us getting in there.
Oh, you'll tell them, Jimmy. Give them the international hand signal for please move. But yeah, Skillcon, here they come, ready to bear away. They managed to make that lay.
I told you I picked them yesterday.
You did, actually.
And look at that, we got our handicap leader, CJK, coming in second here. They'll be really excited with that one.
Yeah, they're doing very well.
Noakes in third, looks like. So great for them to be back up in the top of the fleet where they belong.
Yeah, imagine just managed in that last little bit just to get a little bit lost. And then underlaying and having to come in back into the top mark on port with no rights and having to give away a couple of positions there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we've got Noakes scooting down, trying to get over the top of CJK, followed by Sutek, Cunningham's, Bellegroup from Belmont. That's an absolute cracking first beat from those guys. Imagine Southerly, SKE, contender.
Now, I wasn't so sure how Southerly was going to make it up because they got
Bit going
pushed
on
out
here
early.
between Contender and TTR.
But Southerly looks like we're able to climb into the sort of top 10 around the mark. And in a day like today, in a fleet like this, you know, top 10 around the top mark is going to put you in a good place for the rest of the race.
Yeah, and especially early on, not having the rest of the fleet dictate to you where you can and can't go. Often when you're back in the fleet a bit.
Big hitters way back here in
There is Jimmy.
20s. You got Moon and Sail Racing, Imey, Ace, who we talked up.
Yeah.
You've got, so sorry guys, giving you the commentator's curse. It's our specialty. You got Fluid and Red Pumps. The main Red Pumps is.
Yeah, really surprising, Jimmy, because, yeah, Sail Racing and a number of those boats, only 100 metres from the top mark, they were well in the hunt and just got a little bit too far out to the left. And
Look what's going on here, Dole, right in front of us between Botany and...
There's a bit of a bingle with Botany and
Manflu.
Oh, Manflu, is it?
That's trying to go upwind with their spinnakers, huh?
Always works best, doesn't it? Is that what they're designed for?
Oh, yeah, there's some people who have been really caught out badly.
We got our first few drivers. I mean, Moonen's one of the lead drivers around the mark. I think they were just looking for clear air there, but you know, in this large of a fleet driving right around the top mark, you're almost destined to have a terrible exit with no pressure, and
Yeah.
we can sort of see that just to the left on screen. They're really struggling just to get off the mark.
Yeah, so both Imey and Red Pumps being well back, along with Employment Hero in the fleet. They've taken a port jibe to try and get out of there, and that's left them trying to get a spinnaker setting underneath every starboard tacker in the back half of the fleet without much pressure. Very tricky to get out of there, but obviously they're rolling the dice and going out to that side of the course, hoping they're going to get some pressure over there. But yeah, tough at the back of the fleet, mid to back of the fleet, that's for sure. These sorts of conditions will probably see them spread out pretty quickly on this run. The big gains and big losses to be made.
Yeah, I mean, certainly that top 10 who are able to sort of get around and get off cleanly. You know, sometimes you look around and you say, hey, all right, guys, let's all work together here. We've got an opportunity to punch away from the fleet and not get caught up with all the madness behind you. You know, on screen, we've got a good group of boats here that are all just driving each other high, just all trying to battle for clear air. And you sort of take yourself out of the race almost. You let people behind you get inside you, and all of a sudden you've lost another 10 boats and you're not really sure how.
Yeah, so what we're looking at now, we're just scanning down into the right-hand group, right-hand looking downwind, so we're on the southern side of the track. We've seen a couple of boats really step out. Skelcon looks to be in the lead. Other boats that are well positioned. Southerly got out through that lead group very well. They'll be looking for another good result. Lee Napton also looking quite good there. Imagine trying to make a few gains, looking for a bit of a lane to come down this run with clear air. SKE trailing them.
And this is going to be an interesting downwind because I still think there's some variation in the conditions and the pressure across the course. We can see a couple of boats, you know, kind of reverting back to their light air jibings. You can see people almost moving in front of the mast, and you know the boats aren't quite planing anymore in these conditions. So you're getting back to sort of displacement sailing and balancing the boat with the pressure that you have, while also trying to do tactics. So you know you're on your toes the whole time this race.
Yeah, very tricky, and we'll be doing the best we can. It's hard to, it's a little bit hard with the glare and the rain, and we're looking at our small screens, but we'll be doing our best to keep you updated. We've got the boat, a huge split in the fleet now, so once again we've got half the boats down one side of the course and half the boats down the other. We're currently running with this southern group. So yeah, what's happening on the high side of the course is a bit of a mystery. We'll be able to pick some Spinnaker colours, but both rolling the dice, hoping that some pressure is going to come from one side or the other, and it won't be until we get to the bottom that we will see who was right and who was wrong.
And in the mix of all that shot there, you got the 13s are just underway, and the majority of them look like they're headed out to that right-hand side, to the airport side of this course area.
Yeah, and once again, I can't really tell you who's where in the 13s at the moment. Very hard for us to see from the camera boat. But the fleet all seem to be going the same way. They're not going to split away from each other. And Dylan just kindly squeegeeing my window so I can see a bit more. Thank you, Dylan. But yeah, so we're looking at Imagine there. They're not doing too badly. They ran a little bit deeper before jibing, and them along with TTR, Civil, Eric's, Contender, SKE, they've managed to pick up a little bit of breeze. So we'll see how that pans out. It looks to me like they've got a little bit more pressure than Noakes and some of the other boats who were further up the course but were ahead. At the moment, Imagine look like they've made a bit of a gain there.
Yeah, it does look like Imagine, we're able to find a good lane off the mark and say, I'd say around the mark they were a little further back, and they're pushing second here, it looks like, as they come up to this group. We can see Skelcon there going in for their jibe. You can really see how light it is with the Spinnaker not blowing through with the breeze. We'll see what gate they pick here. Looks like they're going to go to the left gate upwind, right gate downwind. Probably a safe bet right now. It does seem like a little bit more of the pressure is on the left side of the course looking upwind. Looks like that's where the gain was, and didn't see that cross there with Imagine, but they're right in the mix here. They've certainly picked off a few boats.
Yeah, the Makins on Skelcon, like they did this to me back in the day in Belmont in similar conditions. They've got a real knack for this weight of breeze and this shiftiness.
And they've certainly handled both that beat and the run very well. Looks like we're going to have Imagine coming in second, taking the right turn. Bella Group, the only boat at the moment going to the left-hand turn mark, port rounding mark. So we're going to have Imagine sneaking around in front of CJK. Sutek might have some boy room rights here.
Yeah, you can see the power of starboard on that approach with Imagine. They made sure that they got through the boats and came back on starboard just to make it a little unlikely that someone's going to go inside them there, and they found themselves in second. So big gain to them on the run.
And going around the other, we got the other mark, got Bella Group and Noakes are going around to the left-hand mark.
Southerly next round, the right hand, followed by Contender and Eric Storage.
Looks like coming off the gate here, there's a decent left-hand shift. Noakes is looking quite lifted, and the boat's exiting here onto starboard, looking maybe a little bit down angle, but with pressure. So it's still not clear exactly which direction to go upwind, but we've got some good tactical racing here.
The big mover in that, Moon and Yachts, after the early jibe out.
They were very deep, weren't they, Jimmy? They were very deep, and they've managed to claw some back. Also doing well today, looking for a bit of redemption from yesterday. Red Pumps Red, Bruce Savage with James Slee and Natalia. They had a bit of a tough day yesterday, and they are in a great position today. So,
although we think that they may have been OCS.
Oh, possible. Oh,
Yeah.
yes, they were too.
Yeah,
we got that report, didn't we?
Yeah, so we do think red pumps red there was probably our over early boat on the
Possibly
start.
could have been the one that was
confirmed.
Was confirmed, Jimmy?
Yeah, it was
Oh,
confirmed.
That's devastating for Bruce, because he spoke to him in the park this morning and he was looking for a bit of a better day, which may have been why he was pushing the limits on the start line there, trying to ensure he got a good start.
Well, what's the saying? If you're not over once in a regatta, you're not trying
Not
hard enough,
trying,
right?
that's right. Yeah.
So on screen there, we've got SKE Electrical wearing the red jerseys, so they're our third place boat in the series with one race. So they're still here in the mix. I mean, today's going to be a really tough day for everyone, for all the boats. And so if you can come away with a couple of good results today in these marginal conditions, it'll set you up quite nicely for the rest of the regatta.
Just a reminder for the viewers at home, with this rain that we've got at the moment, we can't get our drone up at this very moment, but hoping that fingers crossed, it clears moving on. We do have 2 races today, so we'll see what we can get happening.
Fortunately, we are getting pretty good pictures here from our onboard camera. There's Sarah Lee and the team on Southerly managing to get across there. Seem to be interesting if they can get 2 wins on the board in the first 2 heats of the championship.
And Dol, just for the viewers at home, in the 13-foot skiffs, it looks like leading that is Plonk Cafe with their green spinnaker. That's all I can see coming out of the mist.
I think Plonk had a little bit of a missed result yesterday. We know from Middle Harbour they're one of the really good boats out there. They consistently challenge Evix for the win and Harkin as well. They're certainly in the mix for a win on the championship, but it's a shame that they had a bit of a swim yesterday and weren't able to finish the race.
Yeah, do you know what they damaged? I think they might have lost a rudder pin or something, possibly. But that's a shame. Yeah, definitely contenders. They've been doing exceptionally well both last season and this season, coming and joining us at Manly regularly, and seem to all regularly be in the top 3. Yeah.
So here we've got Skelcon really sort of pushing out of the left and still leading, quite comfortably.
Imagine signage coming at him hot.
Yeah, Imagine is chipping away at him as you would expect from Nathan. We know that he's really good at that. We saw that yesterday in the race we had. You know, he was not necessarily in the best position at times, but found himself up towards the front and just chipped away as other people sort of got tired and weren't able to finish. Yeah,
there's Plonk leading the 13s. They've jibed off early and bolted.
Yeah, I've got to say, Jimmy, though, they've decided to take a big split from the fleet, though, Plonk. They're the only boat that's looking out towards the left-hand or northern side of the course, all by themselves. The rest of the fleet heading down to the southern side, still on starboard tack. Harkin just driving away, and Bartley will go with them. I'd say that Plonk, Harkin and Bartley are our top 3, and is that the Sail Media boat I can see there with the red spinnaker, is it, Jimmy?
With a mighty red anchor, mate.
The red
Absolutely.
anchor, there we go. And then it's very tight, Botany, Scaff,
And
Modern Concept Constructions.
And you can see on screen there, we just panned away, but we had Harkin sort of really jived into a good puff and sailed away. You know, but now Bartley's on it as well. Sail Racing's just jived and sort of run out of pressure there, but there's bands of pressure, and if you can stay in them, you can make big gains. You can see Sail Racing there, a little stuck for pressure in the middle of the boat, but as we move to the left, you can see the fleet sort of really carrying something down out of the right. So it's head out of the boat sailing today and just making sure that you're always moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I've got to say that Avril on Plonk showed some real conviction going to the opposite side of the course than the entire fleet. And yeah, she's you can see the green spinnaker there. So at the moment she's coming back to the fleet on starboard, but looking quite soft, while the rest of the fleet brings the breeze back to them.
And you know that's always the big risk for separating from the fleet like that, especially when you've got a lead. You know, I would have been thinking about trying to consolidate that position when they were that far out, but you know they had some conviction there and wanted to stick to it.
Yeah, I don't think Paul Elstrom had that one in his book, did he? When you're in the lead, sail to the exact opposite side of the course from everybody else, but I hope Avril proves us wrong and she saw something that we can't see, because it's very hard to see full stop. So Modern Concept Constructions there, Tom and Tom going for another jibe. They're looking for a little bit of breeze. Another new combination in the 13s, Tommy Cameron, Tommy Milner.
Here we are back with Skelcon in the 16s. So
Back to the 16s, Jimmy, yep. And once again in the 16s as well on this second upwind, we're seeing some separation, but those boats that we did see take that right hand mark seem to be doing pretty well. Skillcon, Imagine coming up behind them with Southerly, Sutec, Eric's Storage,
Yeah,
CJK.
I can't help but think that these guys, you know, may have missed out on where the real pressure's at. As we pan left here, we can see CJK's kind of almost gotten in front of Skelcon there, maybe not with the best angle, but they've caught up in front of them. As we move to the left a little bit more, there's actually quite a few boats out pretty far on the right-hand side that are looking quite good.
They are
You
in
know,
the mist.
I wonder if that's got to be Noakes out there on that side, and a few others.
yeah, it is Noakes, Graham. And then can't quite make out. That's Bella Group and Fluid.
You know, those are the boats that we saw going around that right-hand mark looking upwind.
Yeah.
You know, and I made a comment that they looked like they were on a good left shift, so sailing the lifted tack, and I can't help but wonder if it's really sort of shot them up front here. There's still a lot of distance to go. They're probably maybe 2/3 the way up the work. So there's still a lot to happen here, and we'll just have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, so Bella Group's out on that side and looking good. They went through the gate in pretty good position. Bella Group's a Belmont boat. Craig Wright, Griffin Suitors and Rowan Percival. And we haven't seen a lot of them to date, and they are having an absolute blinder today. So let's hope that they can stay up there, and I reckon if they could be the handicap special today if they can stay in this front group for this race. So that's who we might have to hang around with at the club, Jimmy.
Okay.
If you want that free beer. Yeah.
You know, Fluids made a huge gain there as well. You know, they were quite far back on the first upwind. They had some difficulty setting their spinnaker, and it looks like they've come back into it. I mean, we all know Dave is no slouch, but it's great to see him sailing back up towards the front of the fleet, considering where they were around that first mark.
Yeah, first mark they were well deep, right?
Cunningham's Nick Connor and the boys, they're in a pretty good position too. They've gone advanced a little bit more, and at the moment Fluid sailing a higher line with more pressure. So I'm just wondering whether the Cunningham's boys should be tacking over on that knock. Now they're starting to lift, so it's probably a little bit too late.
FedEx plane coming in. It might be Paulie's lunch. He's going to pick it up.
Or maybe they're looking for the downdraft from that plane that's just taking off. Puff out of the left from the airport.
So we've got the rain clearing here. What do we think is going to happen with the breeze when the rain clears?
Well, I would have thought it would tick a little bit more to the north, which there's a few indicators of that, but it's certainly gone soft, hasn't it?
It's gone soft, but I think you're right about that flick to the north. I mean, we've got Noakes, who actually looks like they're in quite a comfortable position coming out of the right, which would indicate it went a little bit that way, at least for them. You know, we're starting to see a little bit of sun break through the clouds to our sort of northwest here, so there's still a lot to play for. It's going to be a tough, long race for everyone. A lot of lead changes.
Yeah, and we're still another trip to the top after this one, so there's still a lot of racing to go, and this race is far from over. And as we've seen, you know, we predicted it before the race. We could see some big changes in Bree's direction and strength, and who plays the game of chess the best should come out on top. I
was always told never play chess with that though. So
yeah,
there you go.
With Lee Napton, do you mean, Jimmy?
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Probably just going to. Hopefully they haven't got a tow line off that tinny. Hopefully that tinny's got a bag of flathead or something to throw to the boys. But what they are going to do is they've just picked up a little bit of wash off that guy, so that won't hurt. But it looks like we might be shaping up for attack here. No, they're just...
I think they were looking for attack, and then they realised they got a little bit more lift and decided to stay.
Stay on it, yeah, and a little bit of pressure. Looks like they've just headed a tiny bit there, so I don't think they'll hang on to this tack for too much longer. Yep, here we go. Ricky around the front of the mast, roll the boat and pump it back down. And for the kids at home, that's a pretty textbook way to tack a skiff in light air from three of the best.
Yeah, and just behind them there on screen, we had So Far So Good, another St. George boat that's just organized themselves this season. Got Shannon Hassett skippering that one. So great to see them up towards the front of the fleet here. They must have taken advantage of a good shift.
For sure.
Just getting word through from the start boat, potential for a shortened course at the bottom, so we'll keep an eye out on that.
Yeah, so we might get a sound signal and a flag at the bottom, and they'll finish them at the bottom.
And that's not a bad call. I mean, we've seen the pressure drop a little bit here, and this race is taking a little bit longer than desired. You know, this will be a really good test for all the sailors to make sure they're up on their racing rules of sailing. I know shortened course often throws everyone off a little bit about what the process is.
Where to go.
Yeah, so hopefully everyone's across that and they know where they should finish. I mean, the gate's pretty straightforward. You just sail through the gate and that's your finish line. But hopefully no one gets confused and tries to go anywhere else.
Yeah, I always see less confusion with the shortened course. It's usually the change of mark that I see people make a mess of, and I capitalised on one of those at the Windsurfer Worlds last week. Everyone continued going to the top mark, and a few of us who do read our sailing instructions just peeled off and went around the mark and said thank you very much.
And the Bella group here leading Heat 2.
Sensational.
At the second top mark.
Craig Wright. And then we'll have Noakes in second. If we shorten at the top mark, at the bottom mark, sorry, Bella Group will have the handicap by about 20 minutes, I would reckon.
So they get the double, so we're definitely hanging around them double.
Yes, indeed, mate. So Lee Napton's taken the decision to jibe straight away at the top mark, and so far it's not panning out that good, but they've got the kite up and drawing now.
I mean, that tells you how much they think that the right's paid upwind and where the breeze is at, that they're willing to...
Look at the letdown he's on there now.
Yeah,
so they get into a jibe right away. And we've actually, the boats that are on lay line now are appearing to be a bit overstood. They're kind of cracking their sails and coming down. We've got Fluid here rounding in third. That's phenomenal for them, yeah, from where they were on the first mark.
Big comeback, and they've decided to go with Lee.
Looks like Lee's jibe right away has already put him across the bow of Bella. I mean, Bella will still be really happy with their position, but I mean, look at that. We've got Moonin now.
Another one totally out of jail.
Yeah.
Must have left the gates to Long Bay Jail open over there.
Oh, mate, the cream always rises to the top, doesn't it? Next round, Nick Connor and the team in Cunningham's. They will be very happy to be up in the front group after a bit of a disappointing day yesterday with some gear damage.
The other big mover just to the right of that shot there now is Red Pumps. They were further back from fullback.
In a moment, coming into screen, yeah. And maybe one of the biggest losers from that group, Skillcon, coming into the mark now along with CJK, who aren't going to quite make it around this mark and now have no rights over Red Pumps Red.
And Bruce will be letting him know every bit of that.
Yeah.
Although ScoutCon here looks like they've only gone from about 1st to 5th, so that's actually not as bad as it could have been, considering the movement that we're seeing across a few other places.
And we're seeing Imagine coming around next boat behind Red Pump, so having a bit of a stab that they'd be in about 10th place at the moment, around 10th. And quite a big loss there for them from where they were halfway up that beat. So good, fantastic result for them so far. Sutek jibing inside them. I was about to say pop that main, boys, and they must have heard me. SKE, they've taken a bit of a drop back, unfortunately, and next behind them will be Fireball, who have had a good beat, excellent beat. They'll be very happy with that. And another one, Eric Storage and Southerly next. They've taken a big hit on that beat. They'll be rounding with Sail Racing, who are coming in on that. You see them on Port Jive. They're going to have to find a little slot to tack into here. But as we said, very, very, very tricky day.
Yeah, these have been some big shifts, and as the rain's cleared, it's certainly a new opportunity. I mean, for those of you watching and thinking about it, rain usually will bring a big shift or velocity increase or decrease in some form or another, and we've just seen that here. We had rain earlier in the race, bit of a left shift in pressure, rain's cleared, breezes dropped and gone back to the right, kind of what we've seen from earlier in the day.
Yeah. And we'll see what they learn from that in race 2, won't we? We'll see how good their memories are.
That's right. And today I think will be a really big day for everyone in terms of results. We had our one race opening day yesterday. We got 2 heats today. If you can walk away from today and be sort of top 5 in the regatta, you've sailed 3 solid races in quite different conditions.
Yeah.
And that can set you up sort of mentally as well to be ready for whatever's going to come in the rest of the regatta.
Yeah, 2 other boats who took a really big hit on that beat were Contender Sailcloth, who were up there earlier on in the race, and Noakes Blue. Yeah, they've got caught out on the eastern side of the course in a big hole, and that's really, really taken some punishment, unfortunately. Once again, just looking at the boats coming downwind here, you're looking at our sort of lead group. So on screen there you can see Moonen currently in 4th, Fluid in 3rd, and it looks like probably that Noakes has managed to roll a little bit of distance over the top of Bella Group, but Bella Group are much deeper, and they've both decided to jibe now.
Yeah, Bella's held a really good line inside of Noakes there. We know that Noakes jibed right away, and Bella sailed for a few legs before they went. They did a good job keeping down, so that when it came to this jibe, they've still got their tactical options available to them. Hopefully they can hang on to it and take a win here.
Harkin looks like they're leading the 13s from Ebix, Botany, Scaffold, and then Plonk. So obviously that early jibe out for April did not work. You get a bit of double fluid here in a minute if Bozo's watching.
As Goose once said to Maverick, Jimmy, never leave your wingman. So a big
was that Goose, or was it the Iceman?
Could have been the Iceman, Jimmy, yeah. But yeah, to do a big split from your opposition, yeah, really big call, big call.
You're crossing your fingers there when you do that.
Yeah. And look, it's heat 2. You need to consolidate consistent results, not take big risks.
Exactly. Settle into it. It's a 9-race series. To take yourself out of it in race 1 or race 2 can be devastating and make it really hard. Even mentally. I know people have world-class sailors who will sail a terrible first race, and some people it motivates them and knows that they got to sail clean the rest of the time, but others it's devastating and they can't get back from it.
Yeah, so we're just moving down. We're looking at who we got there's a Bella Group on screen. Leading into the gate. We're just getting ourselves down to the gate now so we can see what's happening. There's a number of official boats standing by the gate, and we will see if they put a flag up with a sound signal. We are going to see, we're thinking we're going to see a shortened course, and they're going to finish the boats at the gate. And what they've actually done is they've taken one of the gate marks out of play. So there is only one option, which is to go between the port rounding gate and the start boat. So we are going to see a finish here, ladies and gents.
We can see that S flag, Sierra flag up on top of the race committee boat there. So we are expecting to see a shortened course here. So straight through the finish for these guys. Looks like they've even laid a finish mark.
Actually, they have, yes. So hopefully the boats are going to realise what's going on here.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't cause any confusion.
I personally would have left that gate mark there and just used that,
same.
Right, Graham?
Same, I agree. I think it would be a little bit more clear to the competitors here if they had that yellow mark on the bow of the boat.
And Bella Group are coming to the yellow mark, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens here.
Well, the important thing here is that they've sailed the right course, right? So they've gone across the new finish line with that Sierra flag flying. So they have finished.
There we go.
Yes. Yeah, we just got them. So that's their finish. Good on them for winning the race. They've sailed the course properly here with this last-minute shortened course. And next up here, we'll have Noakes coming across in second. Great result for them.
Yeah, so fortunately that black and white check mark, I would have preferred to not see that in the water. That might have caused some confusion there, but all good. Yeah, confused us. Yeah, so fantastic for the Bella Group team with Noakes now coming around in second place.
Well, even Lee has a puzzled look on his face.
Yeah.
Lee's generally pretty good with these rules.
I mentioned before Bella Group's Craig Wright, Griffin Suitors and Rowan Percival from the Belmont Club. And for those guys to clock up a win in a national title, I'm sure they will be stoked.
What did I say before? Sometimes these last-minute changes really sort of test the crews. We've got an S flag here, and it looks like the race committee have done also the competitors a favor by throwing up a blue flag, which indicates that they're on the finish line.
The finish line, yeah.
But we can still see the lead boats here.
Still sailing.
Yeah, they still seem a bit confused as to what's happening. So it looks like they're sending a few other race committee ribs.
Just to let them know.
Yeah, to let them know the race is done. They've finished. The important thing here is that everyone's crossing the sort of new finish line appropriately. We see in these situations sometimes people don't get to actually get the result that they finished.
Yeah.
So at least we're seeing that this time.
So third place, Fluid Building, with Dave O'Connor, Fang Warren and Phil Harmer. Fourth place, the Moonan team. Great result for Daniel
Great
Turner.
comeback from where he was.
Very good comeback. So, he's now banked a second and a fourth. Is a very good way to start out a national championship. Next round, we've got Nick Connor and the boys on Cunningham's. Very good result for them. Bit of redemption for yesterday after some broken gear. Skelcon, next round, through the finish. They've been in the mix all race, so good for them to hang in there through those difficult, shifty conditions. So congratulations, Henry Macon.
So we got Red Pumps Red here coming in. They were our OCS, our OCS boat in our race, and then we've got CJK, who's our current handicap leader, next across the line.
Yeah, really disappointed for Bruce and the team. They were looking for something good today, and that's a good result. But unfortunately, we believe that they were OCS with that individual recall. Next, Tyler Dransfield with Greg and Jay on the Red Pumps.
And then we got a St. George boat. So far, so good with Shannon Hassett on the helm.
Yeah, so it's a great result for them, I think. Is it, Graham? Newcomers to the class or just a new boat?
A little bit of both, really.
Yeah.
Shannon's been sailing MG14s out of St. George for a little while, and decided to make the step up to the 16s. I sailed a race with her and one of our other members at the Anzac Day race last year, and took that win with her. So I know she's a good skipper.
Good stuff.
Yeah, she's a good skipper. So it's great to see that their program, and they got on the water a little bit late during the season at St. George, but it's great to see him getting a good result here in race 2.
And her relation in the Andrew family, Jack's sister, is it, or?
I believe.
Right.
Still trying to get across all those relationships myself.
Yeah. Just, yeah. Good genes, sailing genes in the Andrew family, but yeah.
Now, just off screen there, we've got Imagine Signage who just sailed through. We know that they're, our defending champions and phenomenal sailors. Looks like they kind of lost out on that downwind. Don't know exactly what happened. I don't know if they're going to be happy with that result.
I'd say not. And what would you think they were, Graham? About 14, 15?
I reckon they were 11 to be exact.
Oh, you're writing them down. Thank you, Jimmy. Eric Storage, our light air prediction to do well. They did pretty well.
It did all right. It sounded like we all thought they might do a little bit better, but these were some pretty tricky conditions. So to finish, somewhere in the top 15 here is not too bad a result.
Unfortunately, Bruce Savage just coming past and asking was that me, and we had to give him the bad news, unfortunately.
That's always the toughest to hear.
Yeah.
Yesterday's winner, Southerly, just trying to get through this gate.
Sneak through the line there. So what's that for Southerly, Jimmy? They're about 14, are they?
15.
15, thank you.
I'll keep count to 20. I can't count past that.
You run out of fingers and toes, mate.
Yes, mate. You've had me hold the dumb end of the tape measure on every boat builder I've ever been with you.
Next up, we'll have Sail Racing.
I'll sneak in there.
Nozomi and I think Employment Hero might get Nozomi here. We'll be happy with that, about a 17th or something.
We've got a couple more St. George boats in the mix here, Tribeca and Tagara. They were, and actually here comes TTR as well.
Yeah.
And we saw some of these guys in the first race were quite far back, and so to be sort of in this top 20 now is a pretty salvageable race at this point with the big fleets we're seeing. We've got Ace coming in hot on the purple Spinnaker, calling for room, so they'll pick off a few more boats as well. So pretty tight finish here for everyone in this lighter breeze.
Yeah, I don't think our camera vision is actually doing justice for how close all these boats are together.
Who's that black Spinnaker? Is that...
that would be Tagara.
Yeah.
Tagara.
Yeah.
So they round out our top 20?
Top 20, okay. So that's Tagara, Tommy Clout. I'm expecting those guys to have their moments in this regatta. Very good, very talented 3 guys on that boat.
They've been really serious with their training as well.
They've been training hard. They've been coming to Manly quite a bit midweek and doing the little midweek training sessions with Baz. And
over on a Tuesday for the cheap palmy.
Yeah.
And I think they're here on Wednesdays at St. George as well, so they've been sailing a lot of time on the water, those guys have.
Putting in the effort, yeah. In the next boats, we've had Dominoes, NHS, Joel Beechel, Tribeca.
Tribeca, we got to recognise James Turner, our Vice Commodore at St. George.
Yeah, what a guy, huh? Doesn't even put in some effort, and just a lovely guy.
He likes handing out the money at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's why everyone loves him, right? Yeah, but yeah, Junior, one of the really nice guys of the 16-footer class. I know he's got a lot of respect from everyone who's on the water, and yeah, been doing the Commodore role or Vice Commodore role, isn't it, down at St. George for a number of years through this new transitional time. Super great job from him, really dedicated guy.
So we're going to leave the 16s here as we get a couple more boats finishing there.
We're going to catch the 13, see what's going on.
Yeah, go see who's still in the lead there. It looks like we've just got Harkin still in the lead, so they found their way up to the front here just as we catch up on the camera. I mean, we expect them to be a top boat, and we've seen them at Manly in the light conditions, you know, almost always find their way up to the front. They've struggled a little bit more in the stronger breeze at times, so in this stuff, we expect to see them up there. We know Heidi and Orlando are a strong team, and we're seeing them right where we expect them to.
Yeah, they've got a very nice little lead of maybe 75 metres here, and very tight second place between Ebix and, I'm happy to say, Botany Scaffold. Great to see Orlando out on the Harkin again today. I know he was very sick when he left the club yesterday, and I saw him this morning and I said, "How are you going, mate?" And he said, "I'm fine." And I said, "Is that 90%? And he said, "No, 100%. Can't wait to get out there." And he'll be very happy for him and Heidi to take this. We're not quite there yet, but barring any absolute disaster, they'll be taking the win here. You're just looking at Ebix and Botany Scaff.
Yeah, the race for second isn't over yet.
No.
This is going to be a close one all the way to the finish. Looks like Botany's pressing forward. There was some pressure. Ebix may have even run into their dirty air and are trying to find a way back. But it looks like Harkin's got a good lead here and are certainly going to cross the line to take first. Doesn't look like they're out of shape at all. So
this could add to the confusion too, because have the 13s been shortened? Do they go through the finish buoy?
Yeah,
correct.
No, yeah, they same process. Orlando and Heidi have decided to jibe again.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit nervous if they're maybe not going in the right direction there. I would have kept going. Now you're sailing parallel to the line and not going across the finish line. They need to jibe back here in a moment, otherwise they're going to end up on the wrong side of the finish line. This is not a good place to be.
No, and they are definitely confused as to what's going on here.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, it looks like Harkins might need to go have a little brush up on their rules to make sure they're doing the right thing. So now we've got sort of a new race here for first. Harkins still hasn't crossed the finish line correctly. Yeah. They've sailed around the back of the start boat.
I think they've worked it out now. I don't know whether they've said something to them on the start boat, but I know they're going behind the start boat.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, on the race committee boat, you can't really say much to the competitors.
That's what I'm saying. I'm hoping they're not saying something to them on the start boat.
No, I don't think so.
Is that because the boat that's coming second off?
Well, yeah, I might be a little bit biased there, Jimmy.
Thought so, mate.
Yeah.
Hopefully. You know,
there's still plenty of golf in this hole yet, mate. It's a long way from over, and there's only 50 metres to go.
I really hope that, you know, what Harkin's done there doesn't sort of give the wrong indication to the rest of the fleet. You know, often you see when the first place boat does something incorrect,
and the rest will follow.
The rest will follow. So we'll see if you've taught the girls well on Botany and they know what they're doing. It looks like they're going to come across here. So Botany's going to take the win on this one.
Looks that way. And Orlando and Heidi need to get around the back of that start boat and undo themselves.
Look at them. Look at the girls go. So I've already started writing out the winners for the 13s, and I've had to put a line through.
We've had a late scratching, Jimmy. So that's Botany Scaffold, Sophie Hart and Bella Devola. I'll get their names round the right way today because I got it wrong the other day. Didn't even get my own daughter's name right. Pretty embarrassing. I called her Bella Hart. Ebix with Gemma and James Hopkins, one of our Regatta favourites. And here comes Plonk in from behind.
And we can see Harkin there is not necessarily unwinding themselves.
They're not undoing themselves.
No, so they're only just tying the knot worse.
They are, because we have what we call the piece of string rule. Whichever way that piece of string goes around all the marks or boats or whatever, you have to undo it.
You know, this is getting a little bit technical into the rules, but I think there's actually a case where in in the situation of a gate, you can actually sail around the bottom of the gate and then come and tack above and then refinish.
Right.
Or resail through the gate if you end up below it. I think that's allowed. But I think what they've done is not allowed.
They have to round one end or the
Correct,
other.
correct.
Yeah.
And all they've done is gone around, back through, and come down. So this will be an interesting situation for the race officials.
Yeah, and if they can work it out.
And Plonk looks like they're going to do the same thing as Harkin here.
Exactly. Plonk's going to have the same issue as Harkin here. Not really sure where to go. You know, I said it before. You got to brush up on your rules. You got to know these race signals. You got to know what they mean.
Plonk have worked it out.
Plonk have worked it out, but you know, Harkin have lost a race here because of that, and they still don't.
They still haven't realised.
I don't even think they've finished this race still, which is quite unfortunate because they certainly deserve a race win. But part of that is making sure you follow the rules correctly.
Yeah.
Next will be Bartley.
And look,
it's just that you do really want to go and tell them, don't you?
Yeah, but we just
but you can't.
Unfortunately. Yeah,
This is a great finish for Bigfoot from the Hornsby Ku-ring-gai Club. Once
they get across the line.
Once they get across this line.
Now, I think if Harkin do tack here, go around the gate, and then bear away and cross the finish line, I think that would be a finish, yes.
Yeah, I think you're right, Graham. And look, if they do it quickly, they'll
get
pick up two places here. Here we go.
Turn. There we go. All right. Now
yeah, as far as we're concerned, folks, those Harkin followers at home, they have actually managed to get through the line, and that gives them 5th, is it, Jimmy?
Yes.
5th place. So, look, I feel really sorry for the guys. They were in a great position to win that race, and unfortunately just a little bit of confusion on their part as to what the process was there with the shortened course.
I bet you they'll never forget it.
Yes, well, it's a difficult lesson to learn. You'd rather learn it at a club race, wouldn't you, than a national title?
Every day of the week you'd want to learn it. Well, you'd want to learn it in a classroom is where you really want to learn it. But definitely if you had a choice, a club race would be the pick.
Yeah. So I hope Justin and John from Botany are watching the live stream, and I'm sure Dion, the team manager, will be on shore watching on the screen. Hello, Dion. Shout out to you. He'll be
doing a cartwheel.
Smiling. You better go and grab yourself another beer, mate.
The VB is back on tap. Fiji Water next across the line with their main inverted.
Yep.
And then who have we got here? Magic Marine.
Fiji Water, Cadell Stewart and Poppy Townsend.
Magic Marine it is.
Two. Yeah, so that's Abby and Abby Rolfe with Julian Williamson.
You know who we haven't seen here is Cybertech. You know, our race winners from yesterday had a dominant race. You know, and they're quite far back here. I think almost.
You think that's them with the orange spinnaker?
No, the grey one.
Just to the right.
Oh, up there. Okay.
Yeah, so that'll be, I think, 17th or so for them at this stage.
Yeah, they're one of the bigger crews, but it shouldn't have hurt them that much. I'd say they've got on the wrong side of a shift and got pretty well caught out.
So Fluid just crossing there, rounds out our top 10, Dol.
So Fluid were 10th, were they, James? Donald and Liam.
And MCC over QED.
Ben and Darryl were the next around and just sneaking through.
And then Ronston will be next.
Yeah, so that's Ollie Ross and Charlie Snell. I think they're in about 12th place, 13th place.
AWOL is the next one, Dolly, number 44.
Next over, Andrew de Montfort and Jake Bentley. Another Manly boat. And then a fair way back.
You got the Kitchen Maker will be your next boat.
They'll be
and
next
then
up.
The Black Cat.
Black Cat was one of our top 3. Looks like
from yesterday.
That's right. They've got the red jerseys on. So
I did mention yesterday Black Cat, Hornsby Ku-ring-gai boat. They're one of our bigger crews, and I was saying yesterday when they were doing well in the big breeze, I said they're probably one of the bigger and definitely more experienced crews in the 13, and that size, I think today has probably worked against them in the lighter winds. And same, we've got Taylor Lees coming in the kitchen maker, who's got Dad Tim crewing. And yeah, they probably suffered a bit with having more weight, bigger crew.
Tim's actually really enjoying sailing with his daughter. I was talking to him yesterday. He said it's a different ball game and really enjoying it.
Yeah, look, sailing with your kids, it's irreplaceable. I remember sailing yachts with my dad back in the day, and I've done quite a bit of sailing on different boats with Will. And the other week I had my first sail in 17 years with Bella. I'd never sailed with Bella before, and yeah, you know, I think it's great to spend time with your kids doing that, and what better way to do it than sailing, right?
Absolutely. So let's just quickly recap the results, well, the top 10 at least in both
for both classes.
Both classes. In the 16-foot skiffs, first was Bella Group from the Belmont Clubs. Second was Noakes. Third was Fluid. Fourth, Moon and Yachts. Fifth, Cunningham's. Sixth, after an early lead, Skelcon. Then seventh was CJK. Eighth was Red Pumps. 9, So Far So Good. And rounding out the 10 in the 16-foot skiffs was the Sutec boys. And in the 13-foot skiffs, the Botany Scaffold. So that brilliant result for Sophie and Bella there. Second was Ebix. Third, Plonk. Fourth, Bartley Constructions. Fifth, after a win that they threw away, Harkin. Six, Bigfoot. Seven, Sail Media. 8, Fiji Water. 9 was something Waterborne Magic Marine. I'll get this wrapped around my tongue by the end of the week. And 10th was the Fluid. So just got our last two boats there on screen coming to the finish, and then we'll hopefully get some comms off the start boat as to what they're wanting to do. I'm looking up the course. There's still marks laid up there, so indication is that we're hopefully still going for a race.
Very soft and flaky at the moment. We've got some big rain clouds up to the north of us that are dropping quite a bit of precipitation, probably over, looks up Manly way. So probably a good thing we're not at Manly today, boys, but a bit of a gap through to the north, and then it looks like more rain to the west. So at the moment it looks like we're between two cells, and that's probably why it's a little bit soft here at the moment. We haven't got the push coming from a cell at the moment, but I think the most likely scenario here at the moment is we might get one from the west. The breeze will clock left a little bit again, and we might get a bit of pressure, but at the moment it's looking very soft and fickle at the moment.
Yeah, we'll see if what we saw during that first race holds true. You know, when the rain came, it tended to go left and pick up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then when it went away, softened up and went right. You know, we do still have a couple of rain cells in the area. It is starting to clear, but there's still going to be some influence from the few rain cells that we get pushing through the area.
Yeah, we're just having a look at the radar on board here at the moment. There's quite a bit of scattered rain cells around. Some of them with a bit more intense rain. Most of them just look like pretty fair cloud cover. Never a good thing when the breeze is looking like it's starting to shut down a little, and we're at 3:15 at the moment, Sydney time. Still plenty of daylight left, so we don't have to rush in. We can sit and wait for a bit, but yeah, we really want to get 2 races away today if at all possible. And Jimmy, they're probably I suppose I won't say that they're losers, but outside of the top 10 in that last race, you know, we've got Imagine, SKE, Eric's, who we thought would do well in those conditions, Sarah in Southerly, Sail Racing, all out of play. And what we did notice, which was really hard to watch, was right back in the fleet, I'd say probably in the 30s somewhere, we saw Imey Now, I'm not sure if they just went the wrong way or they just weren't comfortable in those conditions, but hopefully that's a discard for those boys, because I'm really expecting them to come through and do well in this regatta, and they won't want any more of those results, will they?
Dole, they had that unfortunate one where up the first beat where the breeze shifted left, they were out on the right.
On the right.
Then on the second beat, or the third beat was it, when the breeze shifted the other way, they were
on the wrong side
again. Wrong side again. Just one of those days, where it doesn't matter what you pick, you're picking it wrong.
Out of phase, and there's nothing that hurts more in a day like today.
And it just compounds, doesn't it? It just seems to just go bang, 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 bang. It's like, it's not just the one time, it just keeps wrapping you up, and it's like Davy Jones's locker. Once it's got hold of you, it just drags you straight to the bottom.
Yeah.
The funny thing too, the difference between yesterday and today. Yesterday we had really strong breeze conditions. Today is quite the opposite, and I used to always feel more tired after a day like today coming in, because you just feel so mentally exhausted from everything that was happening on the race course.
Yeah.
On those big breeze days, you just know it's hammer down, swing hard, and sail fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, Graham. It's easy to feel that mentally drained feeling, not just the physically drained
I don't have
feeling.
that problem with the mentally drained feeling, mate. Well, it's just a she-dan, mate.
You had me to think for you, Jimmy. That's right. But it's those tough days. They really take it out of you, and the rain too. I find these rainy days just really punish you. Sore eyes, and just makes it just that extra little bit difficult. And you're looking at the boats on screen there now. You can see it's very soft. The guys are just having a rest and having a breather, or getting some fluids into them, keeping hydrated. There's not a lot happening at the moment, and looking up course, it doesn't look like we've got much on the way either. But time's on our side. We can wait and hope, and I'm sure the race committee will be looking at the radar and weather models and stuff, and making some decisions in the not too distant future.
It does look like our weather mark boats are starting to make some adjustments. I would expect them to bring the weather marks in a little bit, just to help shorten up the race course, so we don't have to use the Sierra flag on the next race again. It looks like the committee boats sort of upped anchor, and they're going to get themselves in a new position. So, give us a 10 or 15 minutes or so, and then we'll be in position to get another start off.
Yeah, we'll get it's not so important to get the gate back in position, but certainly we need those weather marks in place, and hopefully we might be able to get another race underway.
And it looks like on screen there we've got our couple of Hornsby Current Guy 13 sort of exchanging probably some information and maybe things that they learned during the race, telling each other their story, where they were.
Yeah. Hanging out.
Dolly, I've got a question here from some other viewers from overseas who are a little bit more curious about the handicap procedures in the fleet here, and how we sort of go about assigning those, and how it impacts racing over the series.
Yeah, well, you're probably across the modern version more than I am, Graham, but we do have, so the different clubs have a different weighting in their handicap, and the handicapper looks at the results of the boats from each club. The standards at the club vary a little bit, so then a handicap is allocated to each boat, and that goes into a time calculation from the finishing times. The handicaps do adjust as the regatta goes on, so if you do well on handicap, your handicap will be reduced, and by the end of the regatta, usually find that they balance out. So the key to being a good handicap boat is don't peak too early, isn't that right? So you want to just keep chipping away and getting fourths and fifths until the end, and come in strong in the last races.
Well, in the 16s, if you get 2 fourths, that you lose a minute.
You lose time as well.
Yeah. Fifth is the key, Dol.
Fifth is the key. So
I just spoke to Pete Tinworth on the radio. They're just going to wait this out 15 minutes and just see what happens, and hopefully by that stage something settles in for us.
So I'd expect if we can get another course laid in, it'd probably be a relatively short course because, we are a little past 3 o'clock here at local Sydney time. So we'll just try and work with what we got. But getting back onto that handicap, I know that there's that sort of initial number that's assigned based on a number of factors, not only your performance at your local club, but they look at things like the people you have crewing for you, the age of your boat, things like that, just to sort of help establish that base, and then as you guys are saying, work into the performance that you've got during the regatta to help work out the rest of it.
Yeah, and it's a good thing. Always has been at club level and regatta level, because obviously not everyone has the funding to put a really top level boat together, be buying new sails all the time. There's sort of semi-professional crews down to real amateur crews, and it just gives everyone a chance to be racing for something. Some of these guys are very high level sailors in a number of different classes. Some of them have been sailing skiffs for a long time. Experience in these boats really means a lot. Time on the water, lessons learned, knowing how to set the boats up. It's often a bit of a shock to some of the younger guys and girls who've come through junior and youth classes. They've won any number of titles from club to state, national, and many of them world titles, and they move up into a skiff and all of a sudden they go, wow, we're in the middle to the back of the fleet. And, it wasn't that long ago I was 29, a world champion or something.
That's one of the things I've had with obviously the mentorship that we got going with Alex on the fire stopping came from the top of the game, and just sort of said, mate, we've got to start on the bottom rung and we'll just slowly work our way up. It's it just doesn't happen overnight in the skiffs, particularly. Like, these are probably one of the most difficult skiff class to sail compared to the 18s. 18s, as you know, Dole, they're just big heavy lug that you just lay back and hang on for dear life. The 14s are a very technical boat, and the 12s, well, those blokes are just MAD. Yeah. So they don't even come into the mix. But this class of boat particularly is exceptionally hard to get right. It is. Took us 5-6 years before we actually started doing anything in this class of any good when I was back sailing them.
And one thing that's been consistent in this class for a long, long time is the top guys are exceptionally good. They come from various different backgrounds in the sailing world, but there's when you're sailing against multiple Olympic gold medalist guys who've won world titles in any number of different boats, right through to guys that have won Hobart races and been to the America's Cup. We've got guys who've won and done many Volvo ocean races. The talent in the fleet is just pretty phenomenal. And the great thing about the class is, at the end of the day, everyone gets together, and it doesn't matter if you're a professional round-the-world sailor or a plumber from Cronulla. You're standing next to the guy having a chat, and everyone, they're really good people, right?
Yeah, the camaraderie back at the club afterwards has been unbelievable. This regatta, I've been popping in there just make sure everything's all good, that the client here, Graham's, happy with it, and what we're doing, and it's just been the amount of guys sticking around, and it's good to see the likes of Pete Mackey, Lee Napton, just to name a few, and they're spending a little bit of time with a lot of the new guys. They're just not just sticking with the old guard and having a beer with them. It's been quite good to see back there at the St George Club.
Yeah, the social has been unreal. I mean, we've got nearly all the sailors sticking around afterwards, shoulder to shoulder, having some food and drinks. We make sure that we put the broadcast on replay for everyone in the clubhouse, and you get a lot of oohs and ahs as stuff happens. Looks like maybe in the background you can hear we've just gone AP on the start boat. So I expected that. That's just indicating that we're getting close to doing something here. They're probably making a couple of changes on the race course. Hopefully that AP isn't up for long, and then we can drop that and get right into sequence. But coming back to the sort of socials and stuff, it's also really fun to recognize everyone's performance, you know, every day as well afterwards. We've got that little sort of mini presentation every day. We hand out, you know, quite a lot of cash to both the scratch winners and the handicap winners for every race, for both the 13s and the 16s. And, you know, certainly honoring or recognizing the performance of our handicappers is great as well, to throw them some cash. And, you know, as we say, you know, not everyone's a full professional program with, you know, brand new sales and equipment all the time. So when you've got those good, solid handicap results in the middle of the fleet and you can throw them some cash, you know that they appreciate it as well, because some of them are taking a lot of time off work to be here, and, you know, oftentimes paying a lot of their own pocket money to just make sure their boat's competitive, and they're really just here to have a good time and enjoy the quality of racing that we provide with this fleet.
And speaking of socials, tomorrow, Ladies' Day.
Tomorrow we've got the Ladies' Day. I was checking the numbers just before we went on the water. I think we've got 84 ladies that are going to come and have their day here. We know that, you know, we need a lot of support from partners and our female friends at home. And it's great to be able to put a day on for them and recognize, you know, their contribution to making sure that we can all have a good time out here as well.
So have you been to the cellar and just checked the how the stocks are of the
Piper?
The champagne, Graham? Because I'm predicting you might need quite a lot of champagne tomorrow.
Yeah, we've got plenty. We've got a great team at St. George who looks after our catering and food and beverage. I know that they were putting that all together over the last couple of weeks just to make sure we deliver a solid event for all of them. We'll have the live streaming on for the ladies as well. It might be a little bit too late to grab a ticket if anyone else was thinking of joining, but you're certainly more than welcome to come down to the club and still experience the live stream and the facilities as well.
And then later on in the week on Friday, we've got the Old Buffers Day, or Old Buffers Reunion. So many are familiar with the Old Buffers Day having an Old Buffers Day race, but no, this is just a social event for anyone who are former skiff sailors to get down to St. George.
We've almost finished putting in the triple pipe straight direct out to Line Nathan. Almost finished.
I think we'll need that. We're close to almost 300 people, I think, that are going to turn up. So we've reserved the whole sort of eastern side of the club. I'm not sure if we can have the conditions to be able to race right out front tomorrow, but certainly it's going to be amazing to have that many of our old buffers on hand to just, you know, have that bit of a reunion, catch up. I know a few people were saying they're really excited to see people that they haven't seen in some 20-odd years that they really enjoyed sailing skiffs against, and it's great to bring all those, you know, former skiffies back into the club and make them feel part of what we have going on now, because what they had then was a little bit different and in its own right, and it's just great to have them back.
The other one that I don't think is coming down is Ann Nipper Henderson tunes in to everything and anything that Sail Media does. He's sort of become our sort of number one fan.
Yep.
So g'day Nipper, I know you'll be watching. Ex-skiffies with Camo and a few of the other guys.
Yep, and I know we've got Ross Dinger-Bell coming down from up the coast for the day. We've got Scotty Glaskin from Western Australia.
He's inbound today, isn't he?
I believe he's coming in this afternoon.
Yeah, I got the notification from Western Australian Police.
I know there's a bunch coming down from as far afield as Queensland and stuff, so it is going to be one big day. So look forward to seeing a lot of old skiffy faces from the past and having a catch up when we come back in the Sail Media boat after the race. But for those old
Willie
skiffies,
Morrison's I think down from yesterday, so
yep.
He's got his chair picked out early.
probably sit on it today and just stay there till Friday.
He'll make a few adjustments, the old wheel sharp.
Yeah. But, yeah, for those who haven't made plans yet but might still be able to make it, we'd suggest that maybe you get in touch with the club and get your body down to the Skiffy on Friday. Be good to see everybody.
Just taking another look at the weather here. We've got another little band of rain moving through, which is probably adding a little bit more to the headache on the start boat. Not 100% sure what we're gonna get here in terms of a second race, but they're trying.
Yeah, so apologies, it's beyond our control obviously, but yeah, at the moment it looks like we've got some pretty heavy rain over the sort of Brighton Les Sands, Ramsgate shore to the west of us, and then we've got some pretty heavy rain out towards the airport. Little gap in the cloud and the rain looking up towards it's Cook's River up there, isn't it, Jimmy?
Yeah, Cook's River's up near the runway, mate.
So, and that's pretty much upwind from us at the moment. So, you know, sometimes when we get these rain cells come through, they'll push a little bit of wind in with them. But at the moment, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, it's looking a little bit sick out here. We'll just have to stand by and wait and see for now, and you're just going to have to listen to us talk drivel for a little while. Go and make yourself a cup of tea or get yourself a beverage of your choice. Come back and join us maybe. And for those of you who are at work today watching from your desk, get back to work before the boss sees you watching the sailing.
Talking about anyone in particular there, Dol?
Yeah, I won't mention names in case they get in trouble. But yeah, I do know that there's a few people watching from work today. In case their boss is
watching as well.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm just checking messages. I believe that up near the harbour the rain has stopped. But that's a long way from here, and one of our friendly ferry skippers from Sydney Harbour is said there is no wind on the harbour at the moment. It's completely dropped.
Which friendly skipper's that?
That'd be Captain Jam, mate.
Captain Jammer?
Yep. Hello, Mr. Perry, Captain Perry.
Found it quite funny that the ferry drives is called Friendship.
Aha.
Just got a note from Craig Nichols saying that Stewie Graham, sponsor of Outback Marines, coming down on Thursday afternoon. So he'll be down here from Queensland for the festivities.
You definitely better check the cellar has enough beer then. If Stewie's coming down.
Stewie's a changed man, mate.
It'll be great to see Stewie down here. Look forward to seeing
one of the
you,
greats.
Stewie. Yeah, great 16 forward hand.
And good bloke with it.
Great bloke, and he put up with Ed for all those years.
Oh, mate, he deserves a OAM.
Thick skin.
So it looks like the race committee here have got their gate back in place and are just trying to get their pin in. And it does look pretty soft out on the left side, but the rain is starting to clear. We'll just have to give it a few more minutes to see if we can get a race off, but it is quite light right now. This will be a much different race from even the last one, which was a bit more shifty, but now you have a drop in velocity, and that's going to make it just, twice as complicated.
Yeah, I don't know what your guys' opinion of this is at the moment, but I'm not sure we can really get a fair race away in these conditions.
It's borderline for sure. I mean, there's still boats sailing around. You know, that's one part of it. Can the boats get around the course consistently? But then the next part is whether there's consistent breeze across the course.
Yeah.
We can see out on the far left-hand side, we've got, it looks like Manflu's got one team out on the wire, but 2 in the boat. So there's pressure on the water. I don't think it's very consistent pressure though. So we'll have to just wait and see if it fills in across Botany Bay here, and fingers crossed we can get another race off.
Yeah, Daniel Turner up there in Moon and having a little bit of a look around. Pretty wise man. He's just having a bit of a sniff up course just to see what and if the breeze is doing and how it might be shifting, just so he might be able to, if we do get a race away, have a little bit of a one-up on his strategy on his opposition.
The other reason why Ruffy would be up over there, it's closer to the club, so he gets back to get one more beer in.
Just in case the flags change, but no, he'd be up there looking at the breeze.
I've seen his father in the clubhouse earlier on.
Oh, was he?
Paul, yeah.
Okay. Another ex. I'm sure he'll be down on Friday for Old Buffers Day as well.
I'm sure he will be.
I'm just looking, not on screen at the moment, but I'm just looking at some boats just off to the side of us here, and they're sailing in breeze, which is far around to the right, almost in the north. These boats over here, we're looking at a 13 just here as well. Very high on starboard tack, so if we do get a race away in that and the breeze doesn't shift back, we're going to need quite a substantial change in course. Looking at 13, number 40 there, Jimmy, that would almost be northeast, wouldn't it? At least north.
Certainly to the north. I mean, we sort of have been seeing that when the rain clears, which has just started again. Just checking the breeze direction from the airport in Cornell, it is back into the north a little bit more, but very low in terms of pressure.
Yeah.
You know, it's really hard in these conditions to really stay switched on. You know, you can see a couple of teams here really sort of enjoying, you know, what's happening, just having a chat with friends, but you've got some others that are a bit more serious and a bit more eyes out of the boat, still, you know, sailing around upwind. It is tough to stay on in these conditions, and that can make the difference when you get underway, because all of a sudden the AP drops and you're 6 minutes away from go, and you're getting your head out of the boat for the first time, not really sure what's going on.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned what Daniel was doing before, just having a look up course. He'll stay on his game, ready for any contingency.
Just got a message through to say that a coach load of old buffers are coming down from Belmont. So stock up the you know what.
Just the one coach.
I don't think they need a challenge thrown at them, Dole, somehow. Maybe it's a bendy bus.
Yeah, quite possibly. And I think, is there a bus coming from Manly?
We do have a bus on from Manly. That one's booked as well.
Yeah.
There's a courtesy bus coming from Drummoyne that I'm aware of. So we've got old buffers from all around Sydney coming in on buses.
Yeah, because I can't imagine they'd be expecting to drive home.
Not after the day that's planned for them.
No.
Can convert the unbelievable boat sheds at the St George Sailing Club into a hammock area.
Just put some bunks in there.
I think we just get some inflatable mattresses. They're pretty much set up in bunk configuration. Just might need a few stairs, but they're ready to go.
We won't worry about comfort, or else we'll never get rid of them. These conditions are starting to really make it difficult for the race committee here, isn't it?
Yeah, this is testing Peter's patience, but he is a very patient man, Tinny. Start boat, as we were saying before, start boat has swung right around, pointing to the north now. Let's have a look at something here and see what's going on.
So there's the committee up top on the mighty mutiny, having a discussion with, I believe that's Gary Brunnages and Baz Atkins offering their advice in the blue rib.
I wonder what they're saying. Guess it depends on the team that they're representing, whether they feel like they're going to be strong in light wind or not.
I think they're just down here, like obviously Baz builds a lot of the sails for all the boats, just obviously, you know, doing tune-ups, doing whatever that's required, and you know, Gary Brunnages is, you know, I don't think there's been a nationals that he hasn't come to, even since he retired from sailing. He's always been there. Obviously, his son Ben sails on the Newcastle Financial Planning Group boat, so.
I don't think Gary's hearing's that good anyway, so he can happily go out on the boat without...
With Baz?
Moonan's come back down just to have a look at the committee boat now after being up course a little.
He keeps going past me doing the drink symbol. I know what he's after. He knows what's in the
Wind it up.
in the fridge.
He's hoping he might be able to get a free Peroni out of us, do you think?
There's no chance of that.
So just looking online, thankfully our team of stellar race committee officials have been able to get race 2 scored online. So now we've got, you know, the new leaderboard after 2 races here. So just going through them a little bit quickly here. After 2 races, we now have Moonan Yachts in first place. Noakes with Lee Napton on the helm in second. SKE Electrical into third. Southerly is dropped from first to fourth. They recorded a 15th in that race too. And then we've got Red Pumps actually holding a pretty good average here. They've got an 8, and then they shared a 8.5 with another boat yesterday. So they've moved up into 5th. Imagine Signage in 6th. Fluid Building in 7th. On the back of that 3rd place they got in race 2. Followed by Skelecon, CJK Design Management, and then Sail Racing rounds out the top 10. We'll just jump over to the 13s here. Hopefully we've got an update there as well. So after 2 races in the 13s, we've now got Ebix up in the front with a 2-2. Second place, Sail Media.
That's we're just creeping along in the background.
3rd place in the 13s is now Bartley Construction. Fluid in 4th. Bigfoot Bags 5th. Cybertech Group moving to 6th. Black Cat in 7th. QED 8th. Botany Scaffold 9th. And then 10th is the Kitchen Maker. Now we've still got a pretty long series ahead of us here, and certainly a discard in the series, so you know, the boats that are now in a position with a couple of solid races are feeling a little bit more comfortable and confident than those who might have, you know, rolled a discard in that last race we just had.
Just looking back up course, looks like a bit more rain inbound, so could end up a bit like Captain Jammer up in Sydney Harbour and complete shutdown here.
It's definitely looking that way at the moment, Jimmy.
I did actually have a read of the sailing instructions for the first time in my life before a regatta.
Yeah.
I think there was something in there about 5 knots as a minimum.
Right.
I could have dreamt that because I never liked the light breeze.
Well, it's definitely not anywhere near 5 knots at the moment.
We've probably got 3 to 4, maybe 2 to 4 if we're lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, boats are still able to sail around, as we can see.
Boats are moving.
Bartley construction there in the 13 on screen. You can still sail, but it is certainly not fun sailing, and I'm not sure if we can confidently say that there's consistent conditions across the course. I think we're in a little bit band of pressure here, but as you get out to the corners, I think there's a lot less wind, so it probably wouldn't be a fair call to try and get a race off right now.
Yeah, just a little bit of breeze just coming through the middle of the course at the moment where we are positioned behind the start boat, but doesn't look like there's a lot out on the edges. But, we're being as patient as we can. Thank you for sticking with us. If you're still there, maybe go and grab yourself another beverage and come back. You can see the visibility there just starting to get a bit iffy as the next little bit of rain's coming through. It's not pouring down at the moment, but yeah, we've just got that drizzle that's obviously causing us some problems with the breeze. But stay with us for now. We're in the hands of the weather god and the race officer and race committee. AP flag still flying. And that's Pepsi Max just come around. They're just having a bit of a chat with the race committee, actually. They might be encouraging them to make a decision to send them in. I'm guessing is what they're saying.
You know, we're not hearing any banging tillers on the deck. I know that's a popular thing in some areas.
Not in this class, so you
Thankfully
might have
yeah.
just started this when they watched his back, right?
What have you done, Graham? Is that a bit of an American thing or an
No, it's more of a European thing.
European thing?
Yeah, when the Europeans get a little
Antsy?
antsy, you start hearing banging tillers on the deck, and makes it a little harder to make a decision then because you know what the fleet wants.
Yeah. So on screen now you've got the overall results for the top 25 after 2 races. Obviously no discards come into play as yet, so there's a lot of boats that have got some big numbers against their name, but once we get a bit further into the regatta and they can start to discard their worst race, there'll be some big moves in the leaderboard, provided they don't have any more terrible races. So that's all part of the game of sailing. But yeah, at the moment, with some big scores on the board, there's a couple of people who are well down the leaderboard who we normally wouldn't see in that position. So Imey in that last race, the second heat, said they had a fairly bad one and would be in the 30s somewhere. 37 they scored for that. So
I don't think they'll be watching this back with volume.
yeah, that will definitely be their discard, because I can't imagine in a million years they will have another race where they'll be anywhere near.
Sometimes that's the best thing for the likes of Treno, is to have something like that thrown at him. And
why not put some fire in his belly?
And I'm sure Rob would be nice and quiet. He went past shaking his head before, so he'll be. I know he'll definitely be fired up, and you know Hugh better than most, Dol. How would he be going?
Oh, look, Hugh's pretty cool, calm, and collected. He'll be the kind of guy who'll be beating himself up on the inside, but he never show it on the outside. But all 3 of them, they're pretty cool customers. They're the sorts of guys who'll just go, right, let's knuckle down. When's the next race? Let's go and win it. We've got a bad one. We need some good results. Let's go out and win it. And yeah, those 3 guys, they're the sorts of guys who can pull that off.
Just taking a look upwind, looks like we got a little band of pressure that's starting to move through. So hopefully we can get something off. I think if this doesn't materialize and come through, that might be it for the day. But fingers crossed, we get a bit of a dark patch on the water that's moving through.
looking like it. Hopefully we can.
You know it's dark out. We're in the back of that shot there. There's cars with headlights on. Look, that you can see quite clearly.
And the other one who we would hope to see on Friday, but I believe might be away somewhere, is Benny Plummer, the doctor.
The doctor?
The doctor.
Dr. Rudy.
He always likes to join us for a bit of a celebration, but I think he might be away. Doc, g'day mate. If you can make it on Friday, we'd love to see you.
I think it's because it's close to his house. It's what he's probably been taken away.
Get in the car and get up here, buddy.
Just what you need. Him and Matt Field together.
Yep.
Jesus.
Julian Lindemann.
Oh yeah, I forgot the three.
Get the band together. The JLE electrical team. Just see what we're getting currently at Sydney Airport, which is just up the bay from us. And the breeze is in the north there, and sort of 6 to 7 knots. So that's pretty much directly upwind from us. So, and we've got this rain really starting to move in fairly solidly now. We're either going to get some breeze with this rain or we're not.
Yeah, it sounds like the race committee is really trying to make something happen here with this bit of pressure. I mean, we are seeing a little bit of rain with this as well, as we've seen sort of throughout the day. Rain seems to equal pressure. They're going to try and make something happen here. I'm afraid if they can, that might be it for the day.
Yeah, we're kind of starting to push the time envelope, aren't we, Graham, with coming up to 4 o'clock.
That's right. Race another day, as they say.
What are we up for tomorrow? 1 or 2? 2. So,
well, it might be in 3 at this stage if we don't get one off.
Yeah, well, I'm just wondering if I was hoping tomorrow might have been a 1 and we could run 2 and still give the boys their day off on Wednesday, which looks like when the weather's going to be at its worst as far as wind strength goes.
I think given the forecast and what we're seeing, and particularly because Wednesday's forecast does look pretty awful, I think we'd like to try and squeeze in as many races as we can tomorrow. I mean, it's always nice to give people that reserve day for a bunch of reasons. We know a lot of people take time off work and time away from families too. So we want to give them that opportunity to be back home, for whatever reason. So it'd be good to squeeze in some races tomorrow, and hopefully we can get back on track. We are allowed to run up to 3 races in a day. Yeah, it would turn the day into a sort of a mini sprint day, which would be quite entertaining. 3 sort of quick races, but it would certainly test the crews, that's for sure. And tomorrow's forecast at this stage is a little bit more of a light southerly direction, so I would expect that we're probably out here in Botany Bay again. But we'd probably move our starting area a bunch further to the north so that we could sail, in the southerly direction. So that'll be a bit of a change for everyone in that direction.
Yeah, they'll certainly throws another thing in for everyone to work out. That'll be 3 days in, and we will have had the breeze from almost every possible direction, from east to northwest to south. So.
Just to throw another cat amongst the pigeons, Thursday we may or may not get the stream off live, but if we don't get it off live, we'll have it up post. Just getting notifications through that there's all 3 major carriers are doing a scheduled outage for this area. So,
oh no!
Just for the viewers at home, just if you don't go live, don't panic, we'll get it up later on, but it will still be there.
Thankfully, we've got that ability to still do all the recording here and everything, and we can just publish it later. So, a shame if we won't be able to go live, but at least we'll be able to get that content to you later on. Where's that Starlink satellite on top.
I think it's in your office, isn't it? Got one on tumbleweed that we can borrow?
Not yet, no.
You get it first, and then we'll borrow it from you.
It's funny because when we got the boat, I joked about it. I actually sent my father-in-law a mock-up photo of a Starlink hanging off the back of the boat. And we joked about it. Now people are doing it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, the boat I was staying on in Perth, he just got it, and my mate Pete McLaughlin and Trudy, and we put it on the boat while we were there. It's a pretty amazing bit of gear.
Amazing to see all the offshore boats now moving towards that as well. I mean, everyone's just really on top of trying to have available data and information. Weather, everything, right? And whatever gets them that the fastest and most reliable, go for it.
And no restriction in the two-handed class about what you can and can't have as far as that sort of stuff. It's open slather.
Yeah, it's just like any other offshore boat. You can kind of have whatever you want on the boat. World Sailing hasn't made any rules against it. There are occasional, at least not around here, but there are other races, internationally where you may not be able to access data like that. I know there was a situation in a French race not too long ago where a couple of boats peeled off from the rest of the fleet, and they did a data dive on their information and found out that they had sort of illegally downloaded some stuff that was against the sailing instructions. And so, but here locally there's no restrictions. The only rule or additional rule for the two-handers at least is that we have to have an autopilot.
Yeah, which makes life easier anyway, right?
A lot easier.
I'll tell you what, it's scary when you're filming them for the first time and both crew just drop the tiller and walk away, and you're just sitting to weather them, so you're expecting the boat to round up. You go, oh, that's right, they got auto helm.
And a lot of that actually is you spend quite a lot of time trying to dial in your autopilot as well. There's a lot of settings deep into B&G and any of the other autopilot carriers that really allow you to fine tune the way that your autopilot works for you. I know we had an issue earlier in the season where we had to replace some of our electronics, and the first couple of races the autopilot was not working for us. It was swinging through 20 to 40 degrees and just not doing what we wanted it to, and so we had to schedule a couple more sessions, do a little bit of a deep dive into the setup, and we're thankfully able to restore it back to the autopilot that we knew and loved.
Get it worked out. Well, it's starting to come down here a bit more heavily, and it looks like there's a lot more headed our way. The little patch of clear sky that we had over the Cooks River has now moved further south. It's sort of off Ramsgate, and the weather that was off the airport is now the heavier rain that was off the airport's coming towards us, and a little bit of breeze starting to fill in. When I say a little bit, maybe 5 knots. You can see Ace and Fire stopping there, not really doing a lot, but they've got a little bit of breeze. You can see Ace just starting to move through the water there. Now, when I say that, they're not really trying to sail the boats quickly. They're just putting around, having a bit of a rest and seeing what's going on. But
there's what happens in this way to breeze to just come in from the rider's screen, the capsize. It's always happens.
It does look like there's some solid breeze now.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, I think, in this breeze, you could probably at least try to get the race off. You could maybe blow the race up later if you wanted to. Not that you want to have to pull that card, but it looks like as the rain is starting to ease here and clear up, the wind is starting to drop a little bit. We are seeing off the start boat right now. They're tossing their buoy in the water, their standoff buoy, just to let everyone know that maybe we're getting close to something happening here. So fingers crossed we can still try and get another race in.
But thanks for your patience staying with us, everyone at home, wherever you're watching. Leave us a comment in the comment section. We're always happy to hear from our regulars and newcomers. Maybe throw on where you're watching from too, because it's always interesting for us to see where people are in the world. And one of the great things about this is, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can watch the Skiff sail. And we've just had the start line flag open signal go up, so we're now flying the orange flag. Still got the AP up, but things are starting to happen. Breeze is now a long way around in the right, almost a northeast direction.
Yeah, it is swung quite far to the right. Hopefully we've got our mark boat standing by and ready to go there. I'm sure that they had their marks up anchored in the boat so that they could be on the move. Thankfully it's quite shallow out here, so we don't need a lot of length on our anchors and anchor road. They should be able to deploy the marks quickly, and they're probably going to stay in place. So hopefully we don't have to wait the full 5 minutes here. Usually we put the line flag up indicating it's about 5 minutes to the warning. Hopefully now that we've got AP up, we can sort of get something going here quickly as long as they're happy.
Yeah, my only concern here at the moment with a big change in direction like that is that we'll get into this race and it'll take a big clocker back around to the left again, but we will see what happens. When it took that big right turn, a bit of pressure started to fill in, so it may hold.
Yeah, I mean, the sort of forecast for the day has kind of had it, supposedly being 8 to 12 knots all day out of the northeast. Certainly the rain has mixed that a little bit, but hopefully, we're starting to see some real clearing here. I think this is the sort of last front that we expected to see today. There's certainly a lot more sun to our west now than we've seen all day.
Yeah.
A little bit of sun starting to poke through the clouds to our north as well, and maybe that cleans up enough just for the breeze to sort of touch down and come through. But it is quite far to the right. I mean, we're seeing probably 60 degrees change from the first race to what we're seeing now.
Moon and Yachts, our blue jersey wearers, just doing a little flyby between us and the committee boat, and I could see them just having a little bit of a word to those on the back of the committee boat. I'd be interested to know which way they were trying to encourage them, one way or the other. But yeah, we're looking at Daniel Turner. He's currently standing up on the boat, the back of the boat,
yeah.
So he's got an elevated view. And yeah, no surprise, he's looking straight up the course to try and evaluate what this breeze is doing.
Another interesting one with Moon and sailing by there that probably most other people can't see is Daniel runs a double tiller extension on his boat. Not a lot of people tend to do that. There are pros and cons to each of the setups. We know most of the fleet here prefers a single tiller, but he's running a double tiller, which is quite interesting. I don't know if there's another specific reason to that, if he ever lets his crew get a hand on it.
Yeah, generally what happens if there's a snafu in the boat and the boys are out on wire, you can just take the helm. We used to run a telescopic one for that reason. But yeah, Daniel was one of the guys that came into the class, and I think he sailed on the Typhoon a couple of times, and Craig traditionally had the double tiller, and it's just one of those things that Ruffy has tried a single tiller and doesn't like it. Obviously did all his junior sailing with a single tiller, but can't go back to it.
We know that other classes too, like 29ers, is quite popular to run double tiller setups as well. So there is preference, but we do see Ruffy, on occasion jumping forward. I'm sure it gives them a hand to help stuff the kite or something like that if they have a less than ideal takedown. But in the background there, we just heard the AP flag go down, so we're now within 1 minute to our warning signal. So it seems like we're going to really try to get a start off here. It'll be interesting to see whether they end up doing a P flag start or whether they're going to move something to a U flag. Looks like they've got the number 2 penned up, so this is going to be a 2-lap race for our 16. So certainly on the shorter side, just trying to squeeze one in. But I'm very curious to see when we get our prep flag up whether they're going to stick with a P or whether they might push that to a U just to try and get the start off. I'm afraid if we really struggle here and get some over earlies, that we might end up sailing ourselves to a point where we can't actually get a start off with the daylight going away.
Until the last day, we have no restriction in the SIs as time limit, only on the last day, I believe. Is that right?
That's correct, yeah. So we can run a maximum of 3 races every day. There's no time limit, but on the last day, we do have a time limit. That's just to allow us to do presentation.
Yeah, because we did get a question from one of our viewers, Adam Shapalius, I think it was. Are we allowed to start after 4:30? But I think the only starting time restriction is the last day to allow time for a presentation and people to pack up their boats. And
I think our only rule here is to make sure that boats don't need nav lights going home.
Yes.
Just looking up course, our course boat is going across the top of 4 minutes, going across to drop the marks in.
Yep. So we've got our race committee on the move there. You're going to be a little bit late dropping that weather mark, but there'll certainly be close enough in the location that everyone knows where they're going. So no real issues there. It looks like the start boats decided to go with the P flag for this start. So this is your regular start, no additional rules here. So we'll see if everyone can stay behind the line or not. It's a pretty big ask sometimes when you've been sitting around for, 35, 40 minutes like we have been, watching the breeze move around and all of a sudden go straight into race mode. So hopefully we don't catch too many people napping and get a general recall.
I'm going to predict that it'll be a recall, I'm afraid, which is going to burn up some more time, but...
I'd agree with you there, Dali.
Light air, people like to be up on the line, and with this many boats, they're more than likely to break the start more often than not.
We've certainly had a big clearing in rain here. We've now got a pretty clear course. As you can see, we've got our drones back up in the air, so hopefully we can get some better shots for you. There's the
just
line
where they've swung the course, so will be a little bit tight for us with where we can fly in proximity of the airport, mate. So that's the joys of being here under Australia's busiest airport.
We certainly won't have a drone up at the top mark,
No.
Jimmy.
No,
I was just going to say the same thing. We're nearly on the runway there.
The top mark is you could almost board a plane from there. So if we get a few A380s taking off or landing anywhere near up there, there might be some big puffs at the top mark. Time your rounding for when a plane's taking off and get the kite up and away you go.
Be a big blast of breeze, that's for sure. Looks like we've still got a few boats that are still trying to assess the line, determine where they want to start. We can see Botany Access up on the boat end here, having a look and dipping back down.
Yeah, Joel Beechel, he's just come off the line and gone forward. He's just running back down to the boat end.
I mean, we can see on screen, there's almost no one down at the pin end of the line, so everyone really is looking towards the right side here, and I'd kind of go with that as well. If you look upwind, there's not a whole lot on the left-hand side, so I'd expect we have a lot of boats on the right here. We'll probably get a lot that tack out and want to head this way.
It looks like down towards the pin end, it looks like Employment Hero and Thurlow Fisher were having a bit of a look down there. Gee, that horn's loud.
There's our 1 minute, so you can see everyone very close to the line here. In this light wind, they can certainly stack up right on the line and know they're not going to go too much farther forward, but hopefully they're not too far forward already. It kind of looks like they are. Fireball looks like they might even be over where they are.
They're over already for sure. Yeah, and there's a big clutch of boats at the boat end. Sheeds, Botany Access, Fireball are trying to find somewhere to bail out into here.
Yeah.
Still 25 seconds to go. But yeah, it looks to me like there's a lot of boats well advanced here.
Yeah, it looks like a few in the middle now might be really pushing it, and from where
Sunshine
we are,
Notes.
and we're on the other side of the line, and we can barely see the pin in. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go AP here.
Westie's already got the flag ready to go.
Yeah, ready to go.
There they go. They've decided to go early.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's about 10 boats behind the line. Easier to pick the boats who are behind the line than those that are in front of it. Yeah. I think Cunningham's NHS, TTR, Sail Racing and Fire Stopping were... and the 13-foot skiffs, I'm just being told from behind. Oh, that's an interesting one. NHS has just sailed across our bow, and
Rudder pins come out.
Young Joel was trying to untangle the main sheet bridle off his rudder pin, and he's very lucky he got that general recall because he's pulled the rudder pin out of the bottom of the rudder. I think he's going to...
There he goes in the water.
We'll just get him on camera for you now. So they're trying to fix that. Hopefully they haven't bent that pin.
Doesn't take much to bend them either.
Oh, I know, Jimmy, yeah. Hopefully they can get that back in. But for those who were with us at the last national titles at Manly, you'll know that the Noakes boys know, and Dave O'Connor know all about how punishing that can be. So just a simple thing of your main sheet bridle getting hooked on the pin and lifting it up. And it just takes a slight bit of pressure on the rudder to move a little, and it bends that pin, and it's impossible to get it back down.
The good behaviour flag is going to be deployed here. The black flag.
Wow, they're gone black that quick, huh?
Well, I can tell you, NHS fans, they're still working on that rudder pin feverishly. One of the support boats is coming in to help them. We've now got the 5-minute class flag has gone up, so they now have about
a minute to try and get something fixed.
Well, they can continue to try and fix it themselves, Jimmy, but if anyone comes in and gives them a hand...
Yeah, they're trying to give them a block of wood here as a hammer.
They're getting a lump of timber off a support boat to give it a good old whack. But, yeah, they want to be pretty careful here, the boys, that when this 4-minute warning goes, that they're no longer getting any outside assistance. Come on, boys, I really hope they can get this sorted. Looking back down the start line now, everyone's seem to be still pretty keen on this boat end at the moment. The breeze is quite a long way in the right.
It does look like they made a little adjustment on the pin end. It looks like it's a bit higher, which I would expect to see. So hopefully they can get some of the fleet to move down that way, make it a little bit more attractive and spread it up.
And for the NHS fans at home, rudder pin back in and sailing before the 4-minute.
They are off. Good news. Great news for the NHS team, and they're now sailing back towards the start line. Everything under control. Don't panic.
So we are under black flag here, so this will certainly push the boats back on the start line, we hope. We certainly don't want to get in a situation where we've got a general recall on a black flag. Then the race committee is really going to have their hands full.
Yeah, so in that case, all the boats who were over within a minute of the start, a minute before the start to the start signal, they get, they'll put boat names on the back of the boat, and those boats can go home and won't be permitted to start in the next start. Otherwise, if they do get a start away and they only ping a few boats, those boats may continue to race, but they'll find out when they get back that they were OCS or BFD, black flag, and they will score maximum points for that race. And boy, there's some people with some big points who won't want to
They won't want to be anywhere near the line. I think they'll want to be back at St George Sailing Club, start back there.
Anyone who's had a bad result in these first 2 heats are going to really want to behave on this start because,
And we can see the fleet's behaving well right now. We're a little over 2 minutes to the start, and everyone's hanging back quite far, so they know what's at stake here with the black flag. But looking up the course, it certainly looks like the pressure and the place to be is a little bit on the right, so it'll be interesting to see, which boats we see stacked up here to the right, trying to take advantage of that.
Just noticing near us, Wishart Pacific's got Little Rig on.
They do so.
Makes for a long day.
I just caught a glimpse of Noakes, and they seem to be down towards the pin in, so they had a really great race in the first race today. Surprised to see them set up a little bit more towards the pin. Also catching Imagine signage a little bit more down towards that way.
Yeah, and imagine in a big group of very tightly bunched boats that includes Imey and Moon and Dominoes.
Yep. Looks like Imagine's in the controlling position, though, really tucked up tight to leeward of them. Yeah, so they're in a good position to lead that group towards the line, but Moonen's in a bit of trouble being all the way up on top unless they've got a good gap behind him.
Yeah, and a little bit of meat in the sandwich. Sail Racing has elected to sort of take the extreme leeward position down the line along with Tugara. Looks like Contender Sailcloth down there as well, and Tribeca.
We've got Southerly up here towards the top. They're trying to wiggle their way in towards the line. They look like they might have an okay lane. They've got just enough forward pace to keep flow over their foils. We've got about 30 seconds to the start here, and so they might be, if they can get a clean start, might be a good pick off the line. Noakes is nice and punched out towards the pin, maybe a little closer to the line than they'd like to see. We're about 20 seconds now.
At the very windward end of the line with a little bit of space to get through to the committee boat, we've got Swell Fire stopping, Fireball coming in very late with speed.
And here we go.
Oh, gee, Noakes down that far end would have been...
Close.
Close.
Very close.
And that's who it would have been, I'm afraid. Now, which Noakes is that down the far end? Is that Lee, or is it... I think it is Lee,
isn't it? Noakes, yeah.
Yeah.
Got a couple of early tackers here coming out on the boat side.
So we've had word that there was one boat over. Unconfirmed at the moment, but from where we were looking. Apologies to the Noakes fans, but it was looking like the Noakes from where we were, but we didn't have a line of sight down between the flags. So,
yeah. Also, until we get confirmation, Fireball might have been in the mix there for an over early. Also,
possibly, but they looked okay to me.
They came in with a lot of speed, and Fire Stopping was trying to push them up as they were sort of barging at the boat end. So, just trying to play the other side to say that it might not be Noakes right away.
Could have been at the top end. We'll wait for confirmation.
I got confirmation on who it was. Noakes. So, Napo.
Pushing a little hard. They didn't need to do that. They had plenty of runway underneath them.
Plenty of line below them, right?
They had plenty of runway underneath them. They could have just put the bow down a little bit more and really not pushed it. But I guess they're really pushing hard. It's a bit unfortunate for them, and they'll have to sail clean the rest of this regatta.
Overhead shot there, so you can see that Sail Racing at the bottom of your screen, and we're looking up. You can see it's looking pretty smooth, not a lot of breeze, but the boats are getting through the water reasonably well. And while they're doing that, we've got a fair race on our hands, and we will continue on, and we'll continue to bring you the action the best we can. We're just going to start moving up course a little bit with the boats. Once again, we're seeing a split of boats either going to the left or the right, not too many going up the middle at this point in time. And once again, when we get to the top, we're going to see someone's going to be right and someone's going to be wrong.
Yeah, you know, this one's really interesting here, looking at these great drone shots. We've got a very clean line across the fleet there in the images, which kind of indicates that there's not a strong push either way at this point. So it's very hard to tell where the lead's going to come from. I still tend to think that there's a little bit more pressure out of the right, but we did see, you know, on our invitation race when we were racing sort of in this similar area, that the leaders tended to come out of the left with late pressure and late angle. I just can't help but think that this left group is just banking on that. We've got Moonin, who didn't get exactly a clean start. They're certainly second row here. They've just had to tack out and take a few sterns and just got tacked on as well by another boat. So not a great start to them off the line, but we know that they've got the speed to sail through, and we'll see where they end up in the top mark.
Yeah, so we've had Moonin and Swell tack back onto port from the left-hand side. So they're looking to cover off on some of the majority of boats have actually gone to that right-hand side of the start. Now
Moonin had to go back.
He had to tack back. He was getting a bit of a squeeze on from Swell.
Yeah, that's a really tough position to be in. You know, you didn't get a clean start. You're sort of second row. You finally decide to tack out. You get tacked on. You get burned by that lee bow. You tack again, and you end up in another lee bow situation. You know,
situation.
That's the tough thing about not getting a clean start. I'm sure that they've got the boat handling and the speed to sort of work their lane a little bit, but I'm sure it's not as open as they'd like.
Yeah, on the extreme left, so the furthest left boats we had were Tugara and Sail Racing. They've both now tacked onto port and are making their way back. Imagine still hanging on to their starboard tack along with Imey. And to me, Graham, it looks like we've had a little bit of breeze fill in from this left-hand side now.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I'm surprised how far out we are here to the left, and just looking at where the mark is. The mark is. I'd be very uncomfortable being this far out here, because you know you've basically just got to go boat speed all the way to the mark. They're not quite on ley line, but they don't have a lot of room to play left if they need to.
Put it all on black, they say.
All on left.
Yeah. So what Felix Gretsch did on Sail Racing, as he started down towards the pin end, he put his head down and just went as fast as he could. So that's quite a common tactic, is sail the boat speed. Don't worry so much about the height. And he just gunned it as fast as he could to the hard left and waited till he got to some pressure. Once he got to that pressure, he tacked over onto it. Now he's using that to try and get back to the right hand or middle of the course. Others have hung on a bit longer. Tugara has tacked back, taken another dig back with Tribeca and Imagine Signage and Imey. They're still coming out to the hard left side. So, like Graham was saying, we're nearly at a ley line out. Shift in the breeze to the left, they are going to be quite overstood.
Yeah, the important thing with sail racing on top in the middle of the fleet, but I wonder if they might have to take another tack or two back to the left just to protect a few boats that may have gone a little further. What we still don't know is the lead boats out of the right. I mean, I was calling right off the line because that's what it looks like what the pressure was to me.
But at the moment, they're looking a long way off, aren't they?
They are, yeah. I mean, looking at sail racing and sort of this group here, Imagine Signage, they're certainly, they've got good pressure, they've got good angle from the left, and now it's just time to sail fast. We've still got some good distance here, and you can see that there's plenty of boats on starboard coming out of the right. It's not totally clear who's ahead at this point, but we'll find out shortly.
Yeah, these boats in the left, they're looking like they're actually heading a bit now, which will bring them down to the right-hand pack, but it's a long way for us to see the right-hand pack, but these left-hand boats do have a bit of breeze. They've got crew on wire and they're getting through the water pretty well. The most extreme left was Noah Steenson in the Heart Safe. And Boonen has taken a chip back as well. So Boonen looking in a good position with Skelcon. And one of the boats who we were talking about earlier that sort of does well in these conditions, Eric Storage. They're in a good position as well at the moment. They look top 10, but until we get the convergence of the right and the left-hand fleets, it's all a bit of a mystery at the moment.
Yeah, it's not clear. I mean, we could see a little out of shot there to the left. Fluid's a long way off, we can see with their sort of high-vis sails, you know, but they're also in not too bad of a position, especially if they get a little bit of a righty. I'd say at the moment there's a couple of boats leading from the right on starboard tack that look like they've got a really good angle coming back, and maybe I was right on my pick, huh?
I think you are at the moment, Graham. Yeah, it looks like they've had a good right-hand shift and they've got a good angle to come back on. Boats in the left have got quite a substantial header now, and the breeze that we had, which had gone from the northwest around to the north, it's really swinging around to almost an easterly direction now. Very, very, very tricky day for the sailors.
Yeah, we just saw CJK there, who was our handicap leader today. Took a leave out sort of on fluid and headed back out to the right, so it seems to indicate that they like what they see out there. They've got a good position and they're going to keep going.
Keep looking out there.
Yep.
Get back, find some more pressure, tack back. Yeah.
Looks like we've got maybe Bonnie Access out there, extreme far right, so that'll be Zoe Dransfield on the helm. We know that she's a weapon in these conditions.
Indeed, yeah. Yeah, it looks like red pumps.
And Noakes Youth right underneath them.
Yeah. Outback Marine maybe too. Yeah, over on that side. So, yeah, these conditions can really throw some curveballs into the mix. You can see on screen there, Swell with Fireball above them and NHS. So they were a couple of boats who came in at that boat end.
Yeah, Fireball had that sort of fire start at the boat end with full speed.
Yep.
Getting pushed up.
So yeah, they were in a bit of a tight tussle down there with fire stopping, the Fireball and the fire stopping. And yeah, Fireball didn't appear to be barging. There was room there and they were close haul, but they certainly came in with some pace and just rolled through. That put them in pretty good stead to get out of there nicely. So
you can see the plane top of screen there, Dole. Just shows you how close we are to the end of the runway coming into land.
Also got NHS in shot there, you know, so they, again, right before the start, they had some trouble with the rudder pin. We're able to sort of get that sorted, and they're in a really good position here to probably maybe round out top 6, top 8 around the mark. Yeah,
good to see Joel and the boys getting a better start to a race under their belt too. They've been beaten up a bit in the last two, so let's hope that they can hang in this lead group. And those guys have crossed Imagine. CJK advanced over Imagine, so that Imagine was sort of the lead boat that came out of that hard left side, so there was a slight advantage. Zoe Dransfield in Botany Access, very well positioned, along with Ryan Ewens in the Noakes Youth. So there's two young guns of the 16s who are male and female who are going to lead into this top mark, I'm pretty sure. So
well, I don't know if I've ever been that close to airplane going around a weather mark before.
Yeah, and look at this. This is
Here's the jet wash.
Here's the gust. We're going to get a little gust here.
A little bit of jet wash coming across the breeze.
Right at the top
across
mark.
the water, yeah.
So if these guys are quick and get around the mark and get their kite up.
Looks like Noakes Youth is really squeezing Zoe here and has their bow poked out just a little bit. So I think that Noakes Youth is going to be a leader around the mark here, and Zoe and Botany Access is going to be right on their heels.
Yeah, and we've got Swell coming in. They're going to find a little slot there, and Josh Tasker in the outback.
And look at that, we've got Southerly coming right in as well. We saw him towards the boat end, and you know, our event leader as of yesterday, we know that they dropped a few places after this morning's race, but here they are in fourth around this top mark. Great work for them.
Yeah, so Botany Access, Zoe Dransfield leading Ryan Ewings in Noakes, both of them. Now look at that, they've just got that little bit of breeze from the plains, and they're just scooting out of there nicely. Then we've got Swell, Southerly, Outback, Red Pumps along with CJK, and then we've got some of the heavy hitters like Imagine, Insight, Noakes,
NHS,
and NHS in front of Insight there.
And look at that shot, so much traffic up here at the top mark. You know, you've got rows and rows of boats. If you're coming in on Port Tack right now, you're
like
praying
Tribeca.
Like Tribeca, you're praying that you've got a hole that you can tack into, and good on them there for sailing an extra length or two across the mark to have a good haul. But
now Imy's got to put a short one in here. There's lots of screaming going on. Bruce Savage had to alter course there. Imy's going to end up hitting that mark. So a double whammy for them. They'd infringed Red Pumps and they've hit that mark. So now we've got Tugara in a world of trouble as well. They're trying to squeeze up over the mark here.
And Hunter Hardstave can't even get back down to the mark there.
They've been shut out, yeah. They were, before I said they were the furthest boat on the left, and they've obviously overlaid, and now they've got absolutely no way to get through this traffic to get away and through the mark, and they're in a world of pain. Poor Noah. He's not sure what to do here. We've got two boats over down course. We've got Fluid over and the other boat down there. Fluid's lost a man overboard, I think.
Fluid, and we've got a boat, either red or orange kite.
Orange kite.
And the other one that's in a world of hurt back here at the top mark is SKE Electrical and CMG. So Red Pumps is the other boat.
Is the other boat that's down. It looked to me like Fluid had lost a man overboard, so I'd suspect maybe
another one just fell off a boat here on
another overboard.
Contender Sailcloth.
Contender Sailcloth just lost a man overboard as well, which is the sheet hand, I believe, because I can see Rory still aboard.
Look what's just about to take off from the airport, Dolph. A380.
A380, it's going to be breeze on.
Looks like all our man overboards have been recovered. Everyone's getting back into their boats and on their way. Real big shame for Fluid there. We know we had a couple swims yesterday, which is very uncharacteristic of them, and very strange for them to have the similar sort of thing happen today. Just catching up here with the front of the fleet.
We're just running down. You can see Modern Concept Constructions there behind Imagine, TTR, Insight, Noakes, who unfortunately are out of this one. But good news for Noakes supporters is that Ryan Ewings in Noakes Blue will be right up at the front of the pack. They split with Botany Access, and Botany Access were slightly in front, but to me it looks like Botany Access has jived onto some pressure out of the left, and they're currently laying the gate.
Yeah, so, and Noakes Youth took those two jives off the mark, you know, to clear.
Yeah.
And it looks like someone's gone a little bit further with a white spinnaker.
With the white spinnaker, yeah.
Don't know who that is way out on the other side, but they've taken a big gamble there, and it looks like they've sailed around the fleet.
On screen there, we're looking at Noakes and CJK, I think. Great result so far from Outback. That'll make Stewie, put a smile on Stewie Graham's face there. Outback Marine currently in the top 5, I'd be guessing. Imagine Signage making good progress through the fleet, but
I'll tell you who that is. That's Swell Racing.
Swell Racing, is it Jimmy? Okay.
It's jumped out into the lead.
It's going to be pretty close between them and Botany. And then behind those two, they will have Ryan Ewings in Noakes Blue and Sarah Lee in Southerly.
Now, I'm a little surprised to see Noakes Youth having done that jive around the top mark and having a pretty good exit, are not as close to Botany Access here as Swell is. You know, I don't know if Swell just went a little bit further or had better boat speed, but you know, when you see a boat go that hard to that side and make up that much distance, it's pretty hard to ignore, and I would expect a lot of boats to be heading that way at this next upwind.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a short race, this one, right? We've only got 2 laps, and so you got to push hard and sail hard. And you know, just behind us here to the left, we've got Southerly coming in pretty hot, and so I think we've actually seen quite a big shift to the right and a little bit more pressure. I think anyone who goes around this sort of closer mark just on screen here is going to lose distance just by going around it. So there'll be a race out to the right on this one, I think.
Yeah, well, look at Noakes Blue in the background. The
hard press making
hooks.
the go. Yeah, hard press making the gate. Sarah Lee's seen that. She's elected to jibe drop here and take this right-hand turn, starboard mark, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see how far she continues out to that left-hand side. Looks like some good pressure coming down the middle of the course at the moment, but there's a lot of spinnakers chopping up the wind through there.
Yeah, you know, that there is a little bit more open sort of sailing to the left side of the course here.
Yeah.
You know, Sarah Lee might be able to use her wheels and catch back up to sort of second or maybe even first if they get a little bit of a left shift there. You know, sometimes when the breeze goes this far to the right, you don't necessarily want to go all the way that way. You can sort of play underneath and play the shifts back underneath people who just commit themselves hard right.
Yeah, interestingly, Nathan Wilmot, he's no fool, and he's decided to take this right-hand turn as well and head out there. And just as I say that, Sarah has decided to tack back. So she is going the same direction now as the left turn boats, but she's stood up about 200 metres to weather of them, so she can see what they're doing and control her position with regard to theirs.
You know, and our current sort of regatta leader right now after today's first race, Moonin, is quite far back in this race, and I'm not sure if there's going to be the conditions on hand with such a short race for them to make up this much distance. So we might be seeing a drop here from them this race.
Yeah, agree, Graham. Yeah, they're sort of mid-pack or worse at the moment, and yeah, in a race this short, they've not the opportunity for them to catch up. So we've got 3 other contenders, Domino's, Sail Racing and Cunningham's.
Yeah, very late drop there from Sail Racing. I mean, they had the room on Cunningham's, but a bit of a late drop. They're not out of it yet. They could put themselves in a good position here if they can get a clean exit off the mark. They might have to think about an early tack there because that's not a good lane.
No, they're going to be in some gas there because they were a bit deep after that late drop getting the kite away. Next round, that gate's Fireball, while on the other side we've had MCC, Skillcon, Sutec, a bunch coming in, Pepsi Max just getting around in front of Moonin, Eric Storage, Tugara, Red Pumps coming in late, which is a real shame with Red Pumps Red as well. They were in a good spot,
but
unfortunately they had a
capsize.
swim. Yeah, boat a bit further up course. We can't really tell who that is, but we've had another Another boat go down.
Looks like Bella Dog.
Bella Group, maybe.
Yeah.
SKE with our red jerseys just rounding the gate right now, so they're also a little far back. We're, you know, after the day ends up, we're going to have a big shake-up of results, I think. We're going to have a really big mix of people who've got some discards, maybe a few others who've sailed some quality races, and we'll just have to see how it plays out.
Yeah. Yeah, so for our 13 fans, we're just seeing there across, Ebix has just crossed in front of Harkin on the Downwind. Very even, those two boats at the moment. They're split jibes.
And this is what we'd expect to see from these two. I mean, we generally pick them as our sort of top 213s, and to see them trading jibes like this in these conditions, yeah, exactly what we expect. So this will be exciting to watch them throughout the whole series. We know Harkin had a bit of a sickness or health issue on yesterday in the first race, and they kind of dropped the ball in the second race with that shortened course, but they're right back in it. You know, don't discount them too early.
They'll have some fire in their belly. Yep. There's James and Gemma Hopkins on the Ebix, and they are battling it out for the lead at the moment with the Harkin. Just trying to see back behind the tailing boats at the moment. Modern Concept Construction's doing really well.
And Tech Group, Cyber Tech Group.
Yeah, Cyber Tech behind them, fairly close. And then a bit further down, we've got Plonk, along with, it looks like maybe the Sail Media boat with the red spinnaker. We're just in a bit of traffic here. We're just trying to find our way, and we're looking at screens. We've got our heads on swivels, and
we've got an even split here between Harkin and Ebix. I mean, they're both going around the mark at the exact same time. Maybe Harkin a little outside with a 16 going with them, but that's a completely even split from them. So great racing from those two. They've got at least 200-meter lead from the next 13 behind them. So race on between those two.
And they've split tack. So
there's the third place 13-foot skiff, Modern Concept Constructions.
Tom Cameron, Tom Millam, and then behind them we've got Cybertech with Theo Franklin on the helm and Kobe Napa on the wire. And then again, it's pretty tight between these two for third, and then third and fourth, and then for
fifth and sixth,
we've got
another little race.
Sail Media neck and neck with Plonk Cafe. So this is shaping up to be a really good race for the 13s, and for everyone following. QED is next, closely with Bartley and Botany Scaff.
And Fluid as well, just to the left of the screen.
Fluid to the left, yeah. So that's sort of our top group in the 13s at the moment. QED on screen there at the moment. That's David Tull.
There's Fluid finally getting into it.
So yeah, very, very tight racing in the 13s for this one, and good to give the 13s a bit of love today while we got the chance. Apologies, we can't always deliver you lots of footage because we're trying to weave our way in and out. It can be a bit hectic on the camera cat at times, but really great. We just got to see them on their first lap, and we'll try and make sure we get another grab with the 13s on the way back down
Just looking at Harkin here and Ebix off to our right, I can't help but think it looks like Ebix is really sort of extended out from Harkin going out to the right. I mean, Harkin's got a lot of water to make up there to get back at him. Can't help but think that the right is still the place to be right now.
We've got a very big spread in the 16 fleet once again, with the entire fleet looking at different options of where they can sail on this course. At the moment, there's been quite a bit of pressure has come in from the left-hand side with height. So some boats that have come into the left-hand side have really made some ground up on those earlier boats that we were talking about when we got to the bottom. Swells looks like they're still leading, but Imagine Signage along with Insight have taken a ton of time out of them. They've moved up into second and third. Another big mover is the Ivy. They came out to the far left, and they've now come back and joined the rest of the fleet. And they're now solidly in the top 10.
Yeah, there in particular seems to be quite a lot of pressure up here towards the top mark, and at the moment it's coming a little bit more from the left. But certainly a few knots more up here towards the top mark than we're seeing down at the bottom. Still got a bit of distance to go before we can see who's going to round the top mark. There'll be another shift or two coming in.
Yeah, Swell look like they pretty soft on the bang there too. They've got a lot of mainsail twist. When you're looking at that head-on shot, must be trying to sail a fairly. They're certainly sailing a free angle and trying to go for pace, but we've just spotted a plane on the runway. Just gave it a blast, and it actually lifted spray off the water. So
there's a little tornado not far off the runway there, but there's certainly
the good thing is we don't get tornadoes here in Australia, Graham. So,
but yeah, a jet preparing for takeoff up there is. This could make life at the top mark a little bit fruity. So yeah, swell looking to come in. They're looking very relaxed, these blokes, for some guys who are in front. They're just sort of cruising along, not looking too stressed.
That means the boat must be sailing well for them. You know, usually when you see that sort of relaxed attitude in a boat, they're happy, they know the boat's feeling well, and they can just focus on sailing fast.
Making it look easy.
Yeah, they've picked a nice good ley line there, a little bit wide, but that leads to a really good approach and nice exit, rather than trying to squeeze up around it.
Imagine coming in on the right here. Yeah, we've got Imagine coming in hot, but they're not going to be able to attack inside Swell, that's for sure. So, mate, a very, very well thought out race, this one by Matt Meany and Hugo and Felix. And they're going to come around this mark in first place by a number of boat lengths. Imagine should be able to just sneak attack in here in front of Insight Building. Rod Carter. Rod cleverly just lifts up a little bit there and keeps his speed going. So rather than getting jammed in tight behind Imagine, he gave himself some options there.
Botany's going to have their hands full here in a moment. They're maybe just behind this pack, and they're probably not going to be able to attack inside. So at least put the bow down to try and close that door for him. Botany's going to give it a go anyways. I'm not sure if that's going to work out for him. They're going to be in dirty air all the way up to the mark.
Yeah, very tight squeeze here, and we'll just see how they've got room, and they're lucky they've got a bit of height, as another plane nearly takes the antennas off our boat. I'm sure you can hear that.
Trying to find a spotty.
Southerly having some problems with their set just off screen here. Looks like it might be stuck in the
caught in the
sort of hands.
Yeah.
Should be able to clear it. Yep, there they go. So off they go. But
all good now. No panic.
Great result
board, which is good. So there we have Sarah leading Zoe, two two of the top female sailors in our fleet.
Sail Racing just doing some penalty turns here, Dole, just on the screen.
Might have hit that mark, did they, Jimmy? Or
I think they
clipped
but
another boat.
they came in pretty hard and on port. So.
Hard and loose.
Yeah.
Sutec looking good. So behind that little lead group, we had Noakes Blue with Domino's, Sutec, Modern Concept Constructions, Sail Racing. A few little tangles on the Cunninghams here, but they've got that kite setting now, and that's going to be a good one for the Cunninghams. And then following them, we've got Outback Marine at the mark. Fire Stopping having a good one this time. They're in a good position.
That's a keeper for them today, Dole.
Yeah, they'll be happy with that one.
Hopefully we don't see any more man overboards on this downwind like we saw the last one.
Yeah, it was a bit crazy, wasn't it? I wonder if that was a bit of just someone cops a bit of jet wash and gets thrown off the back. It's not really,
Jet A1 and stainless steel probably don't go too well together.
you're not really seeing it on screen, but yeah, there's some pretty funky little puffs up this top end when the planes are up on the nearby runway. Certainly made things interesting. Maybe when the skiffs are really big, we can just pay to have a bunch of jets parked on the runway with their brakes on it.
Don't take that conversation up with Rolfie, mate. You know he's a mad plane spotter. He'll prove that with one swipe of a pen.
I'm an ideas man.
So it looks like this increase in pressure we saw is really sort of carried through the rest of the course. They're still comfortably two-stringing down here at the bottom end of the course, and I think it's pushed the breeze a little bit to the left. So the starboard jibe is going to be the long one down, and I expect this to be just sort of one jibe into the finish here.
Yeah, swell just setting up now. They've gone into that jibe. They've probably left a little bit of golf in the hole there. I don't think, yeah, they're probably above a lay.
Yeah, Imagine's done a good job of closing a little bit more distance to him and certainly keeping the pressure on him.
And Imagine not jibing because they're on pressure at the moment. Swell jibed onto not a lot of pressure and it almost sucked it inside into going with them, the two Belmont boats. And look, I'm going to say this isn't over yet because with the Imagine boys, we've seen them work some magic before, and there's still a couple of jibes left in this race.
Yeah, they seem a little down pressure at the moment, so swell seems to be moving quite nicely.
Yeah, now Imagine's picked up that pressure as well, and they're pretty quick and deep. Just on the cat now, we've now got the finish line in sight, so we can see what we're going to be dealing with, and all going well. Swell, everything should go swell.
And there in the background, Imey, the jibe set at the top mark.
Coming in on a long starboard fetch, yeah.
Yeah, and Sail Racing just behind them a little bit. We saw Sail Racing jibe out not too far after they set.
Yeah.
So they went and tried to catch a little bit more of that breeze over there.
Yeah, and coming in from that side as well, we've got Nick Connors Cunningham's.
Looks like Swell's got about one more jibe to do. Imagine's got some okay pressure coming in with a little bit of pressure from Insight, you know. So the top three here are still quite close. So Imagine's jibing to cover off Insight to make sure that they beat him across the line. Pretty normal jibe. Insight's got a little bit of speed coming off him, but Swell takes the
there's the win
on
Swell.
that one.
Well done, Matt Meany and team.
And a nice covering jibe from Imagine. Make sure that they're going to stick second on this one. IMEI out of the corner sneaks past Southerly.
we did say that the boys on the IME would be looking for some redemption in this one, and they've just done it in conditions that certainly don't suit them, do they? Not the sort of conditions that IME normally revels in, but they managed to pull that together.
They'll be pretty happy about that.
They'll be very happy to get that run on the board. Next up, we have Sarah in Southerly, another incredibly consistent result from her.
Yeah, so again, they were a leader from yesterday, wearing the yellow and pink jerseys. It'll be interesting to see where they end up after this race. We've had a big mix of results from everyone up and down. Probably still good enough for top 5. And sail racing as well. You know, sail racing had a great result yesterday.
Yeah. This is going to be a real close battle for the
very consistent.
The 7th.
Yeah. So coming down, Shutek decided to jibe out of there, and that probably wasn't a great idea, fellas.
I think they were forced to jibe out. I think Cunningham's got on top of their breeze and they didn't have anywhere to go, so they've got to look for some other option. But Zoe on botany access coming across, just getting inside of everyone else. So a little bit of redemption for her after leading early in the race. She seems very happy. Yeah, she's slapping the back of her teammates, and looks like they really enjoyed that one.
Noakes Youth.
Tight finish with Noakes Youth and Dominoes. Then Cunningham's, Shutek down the boat end.
And then Outback Marine, it looks like.
Outback Marine, good result there for Josh Tasker and the team.
Just in front of MCC, and then our handicap leaders from yesterday, CJK, coming in just behind them. That'll be a good result for them as well.
These groups are coming through in super tight time, you know. It just shows one mistake and you'll drop. Painful positions, very tough going.
So it looks like in the 13s, which are just starting to approach the line now, Harkin was able to sort of squeeze ahead of Ebix. Harkin just crossing Ebix there. I'd expect them to jibe here and pick a good line into the finish.
Very difficult for these guys too, because they're caught up amongst the 16s.
Yeah, so picking a lane is challenging.
Picking a lane is very difficult. We're seeing Harkin now, they're very down pressure. Ebix trying to find a lane through some 16s here, and it's very difficult for them to know when to jibe, because they're likely to end up with a 16 on top of them. You can see here now they're getting rolled, and there they are now on screen. They've decided to jibe out of there. They really had nowhere to go.
Yeah, and Harkin was able to sort of keep their breeze clean, and they've just got Eric's storage, I believe, coming over behind him, but I think Harkin will be able to take this one. That's a shame for them that they didn't get that first one. Otherwise, they would have had a 1-1 today.
Indeed, yeah.
They would still be right in it. I'm sure they will be at the end of the event.
A little disappointing. So, yeah, in that last group, we had the fire stopping come through. The Noakes, who unfortunately were BFD, Tugara, Ace, Red Pumps Red, NHS, Skelcon, Eric Storage, CMG, Peter LaHaye, Tribeca. The action keeps coming thick and fast. There's the fluid coming across the line now. They've had that problem earlier on with a man overboard, proved to be very expensive.
Great comeback, obviously showing exceptional pace in that boat.
Looking from above here, you can see the 13s there. So the red, the green, the yellow and the grey spinnakers. There's 4 boats just battling, and the Sail Media boat
taking third
has taken 3rd place. Well done.
MCC got 3rd.
Oh, MC are through.
Oh, apologies.
Sorry, didn't see them behind the 16. But yeah, Sail Media, Plonk and Cybertech.
Then the fluid.
Just had Moonin cross the line.
Fluid
That'll
13,
be
so
a race to forget for them.
Not a good race for the Moonin, no.
First State Lending crossing line. That's Jack's total advertising budget, the F on the
put an
sale. I
F
was
on
talking
the
to him
sale.
about it.
Next up is the Rivcon with Kai and Will Rivers and Brent Connor. Well done, boys. Giving us a wave. Very polite of you young men. It is a Devola boat, that one, I might add, yeah. So got a barrack for those boys for keeping the old fires burning.
Which one was that one, Dol?
I think it was Danny Anderson's. What was that boat called?
And at the other end of the line there, we've got Man Flu.
Oh,
It's just turned into a capsize.
We did have man flu.
Yeah, they were looking like they were coming in hot. They kind of overstood and were having to rag their kite, and that's now just turned into a capsize.
QED, Botany, Scaffold and Bigfoot over in the 13s. And we've got Employment Hero, Eric's, followed by Fireball and a very disappointing SKE Electrical. Not having a good one, that one. We're really back now. So,
Just looking at red pumps here, I mean, we know that they had a swim off the top of that first mark, but they're well and truly out the back of the race. I don't know if they had any gear failure and they've just not been able to sort of keep pace the rest of the race, but this is very uncharacteristic for them.
very much so. And even after that capsize, they were back, but not that far back.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking there might be some gear failure.
Yeah.
I only see one on the trapeze right now. Who knows what happened? I guess we'll find out later.
They certainly will be disappointed with that one.
And there's all the troops heading home back to St George Sailing Club there on the drone shot.
That mainsail looks very open. Have they got a boom vang? I can see the sock at the bottom of the mast, but
Yeah, I think they do. Yeah, they got a boom bang there. Yeah, because it's inside the sock.
yeah,
Yep.
it's inside the sock. It just doesn't look quite
They,
right.
I don't think there's too much communication going on there. But,
Not too much back slapping.
No,
No.
not like we saw Tyler's sister Zoe do earlier on.
Yeah.
But we might wrap up the day's proceedings. They belonged in the 16-foot skiffs, belonged to the Belmont 16-foot skiff club, with Bella Group winning race 2, Swell winning race 3. The 13-foot skiffs, Botany Scaffold winning race 2, and Harkin winning race 3. We are back tomorrow with another
2 races.
2 races, yep. So, Graham, thank you very much for taking time out of your super busy schedule to jump on here with us today.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
You know, you got more on than the first settlers to get organised this week and make sure everything all runs to clockwork. I know you've got a great team there at St George Sailing Club with John T and Jimmy and all the boys and girls back there that work their rings out for us and make magic happen. And, thank you very much again. Dole, thank you as always. See you again tomorrow.
Always a pleasure, and thanks for the viewers, if you're still with us, for staying with us. It's been a long afternoon.
We'll catch you guys tomorrow. Thank you.